Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to a very special presentation here on VirtualRacing.Network as we get set for, as I mentioned, a very special presentation, a one-off presentation, a chance to show you some amazing iRacing IndyCar drivers competing in the Majors series, part of the Majors family of companies, and I'd love to welcome you. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and of course, I've been doing so much coverage here on VirtualRacing.Network of so many different IndyCar leagues, and been doing some directing gigs over doing some NASCAR stuff, but great to have a chance to do an Indy 500. When do you ever get such an awesome opportunity, and let alone to be able to cover two separate races in the same day for Indy cars? And so we take a look here as some of the drivers are heading out there and working on their practicing for today's event. We're going to be getting into some of their qualifying order and where everybody will be starting for today's race. So at the moment, cars are just out there getting warmed up for the race, and this is, of course, the 2022 Majors Series Indy 500 America's Pro 2 race. So it's great to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network live. And as I mentioned, it has been so many other leagues, including the U.S. IndyCar League, which we cover here each and every Sunday. So if you're a fan of IndyCars on the iRacing service, you'll want to make sure to check that out and stop on by, and you'll get a chance to see some of those drivers. I'll have to see if anybody that I recognize from that group is in the field here today, but thus far, I haven't seen anyone. I do recognize quite a few of these drivers who are in the Pro 2 field, and so as they are putting times up there on the board, we get a chance to show you their lap times very shortly, but get the timing tower going, give you a chance to see as we finish up this warm-up here. Just 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. It is Joey Haynes of Canada for the unorthodox Eclipse team, just ahead of fellow Canadian Tyler Scurali. I apologize, anybody's name that I mess up tonight. That's the advantage of getting the call this morning from Mr. Michael Peters, who will be in today's race, and letting us know that he thought maybe this race should get a broadcast because it should be pretty exciting action. And like I said before, hey, it's the month of May. I'm ready. I'd love to do a dozen broadcasts of Indy 500s this month. And I will get a chance to do another one next week with the U.S. IndyCar League on Sunday. They're doing the Indy 250 for the Care Camps organization. Here today, of course, so meaningful, round number 6 for the Majors Series. Once again, great to have you here on VirtualRacing.Network. Make sure to subscribe for future races. Who knows when we'll be doing additional races with other leagues, such as the Majors Series. I myself, Trevor Greenfield, was very pleased to run with Majors in the MTech Majors Team Endurance Championship with Last Lap Motorsports, and I saw that Blake Reynolds is, doing Majors, and a number of others that I recognize from the MTech series. Of course, Blake and Ray Kingsbury for our team Last Lap Motorsports taking the championship for Majors. And so we end our warm-up session here. We will take a look here at the final results from these practice, and you'll get a chance to see no real telling on how much this will mean for the race today. But we've got Joey Haynes, as I mentioned, Canadian with the top time thus far. Tyler Scurali there in second place, about a half a second off. And you would think that that might be either just due to the draft or possibly some other trickery, qualifying setup or something like that. But either way, we get set here. That's just the practice results. Those off of the screen. And let's go ahead and get your grid up there so we can see your starting order for today's race. We'll get a chance to go through the field one at a time, starting with your pole sitter. This is Travis Warling. And, of course, these cars all pre-qualified, so the qualifying taking place earlier And so the timing not setting these times out here. Tyler there, or I'm sorry, Travis racing for Cure LGM D2I, muscular dystrophy. So definitely a great cause, and I know that's affiliated with the Majors series. Starting alongside on the outside, both of these Americans, Ray Partridge will be starting outside of Travis Whirling there, looking to take that position and hopefully take the win and drink some milk at the end of today. Joey Haynes going to be starting in third spot. On the outside of Joey will be Lynn Kitchelow in the number 44 machine. Starting in fifth will be Brian McGreevy, also racing for Cure LGM D2I. And Ryan Steele racing with the infamous Dog Bear Racing Team on the side pod. Looks like a war machine. Another great. Jason Wallet here, gonna be in 7th place, starting next to Clint Martin. And also gonna be Aaron McQuarrie. These are all names I'm very familiar with. I've had a chance to race some races with Jason and Clint. Aaron also, and recognize Aaron from the Indy Fix Series. Number of these drivers, regulars on iRacing in the Indy Fix Series. David Henger, Tyler Scarali. Now, Tyler, of course, was very fast early on. And then, of course, the sponsor of this race, Michael Peters, going to be bringing up the tail to get this one going. But, hey, if you appreciate this stream, make sure that you look down in the description. There is a link to be able to pay back Michael for covering the sponsoring of the cost of this broadcast. And just make sure to head on down there. There's his PayPal link, and you'll get a chance to say thank you for getting Trevor and VirtualRacing.Network to say, yes, we do want an Indy 500. Here we go. 200 laps around the famed, historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Travis Whirling leads us down to the green flag, and Ray Partridge now side by side with Joey Haynes on this opening lap. We hope nobody does anything that could potentially cause an issue here so early on. You've got to keep it clean. Side by side, they come down into turn 3, and now it looks like Haynes is starting to slip back, and Brian McGreevy begins his march forward, now gaining 2 spots, and there they tangle. It's McGreevy and Haynes. Out of turn 3, they tangle, come together, spinning off into the grass, and these two cars, my goodness, so early on, it was, I don't want to say it was commentator's curse, but I mentioned it and it happened. That's twice today. I've got to really watch what I'm doing here. Travis Whirling, though, meanwhile, could not have asked for more at the start of this one, because that's exactly what you want to see looking in your mirrors, is your competition crashing. And that's the view out the back of that number 90 machine. As he continues on here, no caution flag, and we are on lap 2, about to begin lap 3 here at the famed Yard of Bricks. So on lap 3 here, these drivers doing what it takes to keep the car on the track. Unfortunately, we saw just a moment ago an incident between Joey Haynes and Brian McGreevy. Unfortunately, that severely cost both of those drivers. We're going to jump back here, take a quick look at what happened. These two racing side by side through the corner, and up comes, I believe that was Haynes, who came up in the corner just a little bit, unable to keep his car further down. And we're actually taking a look there at Brian McGreevy and his injured machine. So we'll jump back and take one more look here with Haynes. Go back to the live picture for a moment so that we can see that Travis Whirling still in the lead and no other problems. There you see Haynes and McGreevy rejoining the track in the background. And they are officially a couple of laps down now. So I believe 3 laps down to the rest of the field. We'll take one more look at what happened just a moment ago, and we will jump on board with Haynes, who we believe might have come back up the track just a little bit. Here it is on board with Haynes, and indeed he does come up mid-corner and tag that left side of Brian McGreevy. So back to the live picture, and of course this not Virtual Grip Network. We apologize for that misinformation. This is Virtual Racing Network, and we've got some old graphics in there we'll need to get rid of. But Travis Whirling doing a heck of a job here, maintaining his speed, though he cannot seem to escape fellow American Ray Partridge. And now approaching is in third, Ryan Steele, trying to get that coveted podium position here at Indianapolis. So once again, you are watching VirtualRacing.Network's live coverage of the Major Series round number 6 here in 2022 of the Indianapolis 500. It's the 10th running of the Indy 500 for the Majors group. And so great to be able to cover this this Pro 2 class here, as we've got Jason Willott and Clint Martin running basically side. Oh, actually, that's Lynn Cancelo and Jason running side by side. Looks like Lynn has moved forward just one more position back to the 4th spot where Lynn started. And taking a look behind it, it's right about that time when we're going to start to have some tires starting to fall off. And here comes, I believe that's Clint Martin getting by Mike Grandy Sr. So Clint Martin racing for the Scours team. And talking with David Graybill a little bit earlier, one of the, well, I guess the head there, or one of the heads there at the team, was confident that they were going to get a chance to get in the field. And Clint pretty happy to get a chance to do some battle here at the Indy racetrack, where, as you know, many of these drivers, they get so many chances to run the Indy racetrack, but it is always special. And certainly at a track like this, where you've got so many talented drivers, once again, I just went over the fact that you can catch Aaron McQuarrie out there in a top split race any given day in the Indy Fix Series here on iRacing. And that should tell you just how good these drivers are. And, you know, any chance you get to go out there and prove your muster, especially in the Major Series, which is become renowned as one of the best leagues, absolutely one of the best well-run leagues and groups that is out there. Well, all of these drivers definitely looking for their chance to do that. So in the meantime, let's take a look a little bit further back. We're going to check in with today's race sponsor, Michael Peters. How's he doing today? Well, he's in 11th, but he's gained 2 spots. I'm sure he's going to be looking for more spots here today, but doing his best to hang on to that 103 machine. And he's got Tyler Scarali just behind. Tyler was very fast in practice, so maybe he'll be a good teammate to try to draft and do some fuel saving, perhaps do some draft swapping. Any way that you can move forward is always good, but you got to survive, and we've got 190 more laps to do here. This one going by relatively quickly, but unfortunately, no caution flags early on to save Brian McGreevy and Joey Haynes, who had qualified so well. And now we take a look at this top 3 group. It's really not covered by that much. Bring up the battle box here, and you can see less than half a second now between 1st and 3rd spot. I think the real interesting story here being Ryan Steele, racing for Team Dog Bear, though we don't have that officially in SDK, but Ryan Steele up 3 spots already and looking for more. And once again, you know, some of this is just positioning. Some of this is just early race to make sure we stay up with the leaders. We don't know, you know, if this is going to go green the whole way. Is this going to possibly break open? Are we going to have the leaders, the front two, just kind of running off? So maybe I should stick with them if you're Ryan Steele here riding around in third spot? That's a good question. And, hey, it's Will Stearns checking in out there in internet land on our YouTube chat. We appreciate that. Also, Jason Richardson checking in, letting us know they're watching. Will Stearns, a great competitor over in the U.S. IndyCar League, and you'll recognize his name certainly from iRacing competition in official races. One of those drivers that is out there on the regular, and great to have him in the crowd. And a number of others watching us live. Once again, you're watching live right now. I'm so happy to be able to bring it to you. Me, Trevor Greenfield here. Just love Indy cars, love IndyCar racing, especially at this place. Can't get enough of it. And we still get 2 more fabulous weeks in real life to cherish these cars in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But we owe all the thanks to Michael Peters, who somehow caught me at 5:30 this morning out here on the West Coast near the Seattle area and said he wanted to get this going. So if you're watching, definitely click down in that link in the PayPal description and send him a little thank you to say thank you for making sure that Trevor gets to sit at home and watch Indy cars and talk on YouTube. Thank you so much. Here we go. Back to the race. Travis Whirling, Ray Partridge, and Ryan Steele. You've missed absolutely nothing while I was prattling. Lynn Kinchelo, they're hanging on to 4th spot with Jason Wallet just behind. Clint Martin in that number 347 machine. And all of these cars, once again, we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty as to how this works. But these Indy cars, we're going to jump on board. I've spent enough time outside the car. Why don't we get on board with Travis Whirling, your race leader. We'll take a look here on board, like right next to the helmet, like you're right there in the cockpit with Travis, flying out through turn 4 and down this long straightaway. Past that yard of bricks and underneath Barney the Flagman, and then down into turn 1. And so what you have there on this IndyCar, Dallara IR18 IndyCar dash, and of course the that steering wheel dash electronics provided by Cosworth, as you see there on the steering wheel. What you've got there is a number of boxes along the bottom, and some of them have zeros in it because we as spectators don't want to be able to see that information necessarily. That might divulge some of the secrets of these drivers. But essentially you have the front and the rear anti-roll bars, and those are spelled out on the left, and so the 2 reds on the left-hand side on the bottom of that steering wheel. And so you can go between 1 and 6, 1 being the softest, 6 being the stiffest in the front and in the rear. And then on the right-hand side, you've got the weight jacker. Now that weight jacker will crank up or down that right rear wheel, and what that does is causes more tilt into the corner. So for example, as you're heading here into turn 3, you get a little bit more turn. Unfortunately, what it also does is it burns up that right rear a little bit and adds a little bit of temp to the car. So let's check in on the weather at the same time and see that it is in fact 77 degrees in the air, but 116 on the track. As you see Travis getting down below that white line in turn 1 and turn 2. Some days that's a little dangerous, and having the car come down that far on the track can be dangerous towards the end of the stint. These drivers now coming to the end of the 18th lap, and so possibly we're going to have a situation where these cars need to be able to be adjusted over the run just to keep them from spinning off that right rear tire. In the meantime, let's go back and take a look here at, we've got Aaron Roofs, who has unfortunately slid back through the field here. And Aaron, the Savvy Ninja, in that number 426 machine, he started there in 11th, and I saw that he had gained a couple of spots Always love a chance to race with Aaron. Super nice guy, and actually frequently offering help to those in the iRacing official races. But they're Roofs and Peters kind of racing side by side. Or I'm sorry, I had the wrong car there. That's Roofs and I believe... It's going to be, I believe, Joey Haynes, indeed. Yes, because Haynes had gone down that lap earlier. I could not figure out why there was a car that was not shown in timing and scoring, but there you go. Because Haynes, unfortunately, with that incident early on with Brian McGreevy, dropping down a couple of laps in the order. Now, as a result, we're also seeing that Aaron McQuarrie also now down in the order, and Aaron taking a pit stop earlier. Let's go back here and see if we can determine... Let's see if we can figure this one out. Where was Aaron McQuarrie at this time? We can see Aaron McQuarrie really losing a lot of positions at this particular moment. Like a lot of positions. And I don't know if he had a problem just prior to this, or if this was just part of his planned pit entry and slowing down a lot. But Aaron has a lot of experience, and so one would think maybe he had another issue that cost him some time or some speed, and that caused him to drop back a little bit. In the meantime, Travis Warling in that number 90 machine continues to get it done here in Pro 2 for the Major Series round number 6, the Indianapolis 500. We're over 10% of the way through. It sounds almost as though we're accomplishing something, but indeed, it's a long race, folks, and many, many, many more pit stops to come. So great to have you with us as we are watching live here. Travis Warling leading in the number 90 Dallara IR18 over Ray Partridge in his number 8 machine, and Ryan Steele in third. Ray takes a look to the inside coming down the front stretch, just getting a little bit of clean air. Jump back on board with Ray Partridge now. Takes it down below that white line, entering turn 2. Once again, these drivers making numerous adjustments in that cockpit to try to keep the car exactly turning right through the corner. Also see Dog Bear on Ray's car, so I do wonder if in fact Ray is part of the Dog Bear team. Try to dig up that information. It's somewhere, but as I mentioned, everyone, we here at VirtualRacing.Network, accustomed to jumping in and covering new series, but not necessarily on the same day. So quite a lot of information to get through. Now, there is some additional information that we do have in terms of the restarts, and you can see Aaron McQuarrie now working his way back through this group, so perhaps trying to now get that lap back. He's doing quite a good job of it. So if we take a look here, in fact, if I go over on timing and scoring tower, you can see what the last lap times are. And McQuarrie in the 40.91 territory that time by. You take a look at everyone else, 41.1 for your leader, 41.2 for Partridge. So those freshies on Aaron McQuarrie's machine really allowing him to kind of undercut the competition. Now we take a look back here. Now this is a bunch of drivers all racing for position, starting right here with Lynn Kinchalow in that 44 machine. Jason Wallet there in the 114 just behind. Try to get a slightly closer view. There they are. They look like little ants on the screen a moment ago. Just having fun out here covering Indy cars on track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It doesn't get any better than this. Jason Wallet in 5th place. He's up 2 spots so far. Clint Martin for the Scours team shown there in 6th, up 2 spots as well. This driver's really having to hang on at this point. It kind of looked like Clint was getting a little loose. Let's go on board with Clint. There you can see having to do a little bit of correction back to the right. And so possibly these tires starting to scrub and wear into the later stages of the stint. Going to have to be trying to conserve as much as you can and get the last of these laps out as far as the fuel load goes, because if this does go green all the way, I mean, we've got 14 cars in this field, and oh, and now your leader is into the pits. That's Travis Worling out of the lead, now making his way down this very long pit lane. You see him there in the background, rolling down towards his pit stall. On board now with Worling. You'll see him arrive in his pit box. Now, unfortunately, we don't get those really cool animations of the team running around the car and changing the tires and putting the fuel in, but he does on his screen, and away we go. Back out for another run, and he's got his pit stop done. So should we have a yellow flag, his stop is done, and he'll be able to go straight to the front. Now, one of the tricks is, do you want to stay out there right now and try and get extra fuel mileage, possibly get a chance to move ahead of the other drivers in the pits? You can also see Mike Grandy Sr. in the pits as well. So Grandy leaving his pit box, and there you see the Voodoo Groovy Dry Rub. Ooh, that's Lays Energy. Try to read everything on the side pod there. Greenhouse versus... Oh, I don't know that I don't know the greenhouse versus one necessarily clears the iRacing paint policy bar, but it's just words. Who cares? I mean, in the end, I don't care. I just try to read people's sponsors, and I just want to make sure we're not going to get in trouble for doing that. In the middle of all of this, Ray Partridge has continued around here. He has not yet pitted, but as I say that, here comes the man onto pit lane, gets it stopped, or gets it down to a low enough speed that he does not draw the ire of the officials. There's also Tyler Scarali pitting now out of 6th place. So Tyler coming forward from the back of the pack, and definitely trying to poke his nose a little bit further up the grid today, considering how well he ran in practice. So we're going to be looking for momentarily the rest of the leaders to be making their way into the pits. Here comes Ryan Steele, as you see on your camera. He too. Usually these drivers will be locking up heading into the pits. There's Clint Martin. He's blinking just a little bit coming in, and there's Jason Wallet, David Hanger now making their pit stops. That's a pretty flashy paint job there on Hanger's machine. That's 066. Looking very stylish. Some of these drivers really putting great effort in here for this very special race for the Major Series. And again, you know, I would just have to say that I would love a chance, obviously, to get get more of a run at one of these things, be able to give you some more information on majors. But of course, I only have very limited information, as the first time I thought of covering this race was this morning when approached. But we'll make sure to give you all the appropriate links in the description, as well as at the end of this race, to get involved with the Majors group, should you want to do that and get out and be a part of all of what Majors has going on, including the Majors Garage, which I'll just go ahead and promote it, since it's a great way to get your setups, and perhaps maybe the one way in which I can say thank you for them letting us broadcast this race with their name on it. So we continue on lap 34. We were watching David Henger, but here's your new leader again, Travis Whirling, taking over that lead. Second, after this round of pit stops, Ray Partridge, and third, Ryan Steele. Now, it is true that Aaron McQuarrie has recovered to fourth spot on the track, and he is just 5 seconds back from Travis Whirling. However, there is quite a difference in when these drivers pitted, and so Aaron came in about 12 laps earlier, and so he is going to not be on the same fuel strategy as the other leaders, and that probably won't necessarily work in his favor. But if a yellow flag were to come out and everybody were to pit at the same time, well, he's just managed to get himself right back into race competition and contention. So Warling now, though, has a 3.4 second lead, and that is certainly enough distance for him to consider himself free and clear of that draft, and so he will not need to worry about Ryan Steele, who has now taken second position while we were just watching that just a moment ago. We're going to see, does Ray Partridge try to possibly take that spot back here? We're watching now, and I don't think so. Falling back just a little bit, so let's go ahead and take a look. This was just a second ago. I'm sorry, actually, that's the wrong, apologize, another pass happened in the meantime. That was Clint Martin passing Lynn Kinchlow. And here is, in fact, Steele getting by Partridge there in the middle of 3 and 4. Partridge stays high, lets him by, and Steele gets through with that second position. Back to the live shot here, and actually that gap has not opened up at all. So Partridge hanging on there with Steele just behind. It's possible that, well, let's take another look at this as you see Partridge head down low and take that spot away. Steele not wanting to give it back, and so Steele fighting back hard now. Tries it back down to the low side. And again, I'm not sure if these two, it's tough to tell if they're working together, because I don't know if they know each other or are teammates, but it doesn't look like it to me. It certainly looks like these two are fighting for keeps. And it would mean a lot, once again. Now, it means a lot not only to win this race, but certainly it means a lot in terms of the strategy when you're following and who you're following. When you're following another driver, if you're following another driver, do you have clean air? Do you have that arrow push from one car in front? Is it two cars in front? If you can find somebody like, say, Partridge or Steele, and they want to work to try to reel back in Travis Whirling, you got to do it by working together, and the only way to do that would be to swap draft. Now, it's just so happened that, in the past, drivers somewhat get that. You don't even necessarily need to communicate it over the radio. You understand when you've done enough of these races, as Steele has a 4,771 oval I rating, Partridge with 2,458 to Travis Whirling's 3,426. Ryan Steele has a lot of experience, and so he would know that if he does draft swap with Partridge and he does it in the right way, there is a chance that they can reel in Travis Whirling. But again, it's got to be one of those things where you're both on the same page, and one is not just trying to fight the other one and try and keep the other one from gaining that spot. A lot of strategy to work out here, that is for sure, and that really keeps you on your toes. And that's certainly why, you know, you don't need 33 in a field like this to make a race. And as we look back here, I mean, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 cars covered by just a couple of seconds. So we start with this car here, David Hanger. And then looking back from Hanger's machine, it's Tyler Scarelli just behind. There's the view from Scarelli, and that's half a second back. Meanwhile, click the wrong button there. Jason Wallet still hanging off the back, and Wallet just not able to come forward. I tell you what, Wallet, I saw some white smoke there. I'm not sure if that was possibly somebody falling through the field or not, but Wallet's got a lot of experience. 3,525 I rating. In fact, that would probably make him the second highest I-rated driver in the group. So there we can see Clint Martin, it appears, blinking and having issues. And I'm not sure if he just drove low there on the front straightaway to kind of be gentlemanly and let other drivers go by. It's definitely possible that he might have just not felt very comfortable with leaving the car out there. As you can see, he's blinking in and out, so it is quite dangerous. And so Clint now blinking out once again. Unfortunate for him. So back at the front, 44 laps done. Still not quite a quarter of the way done with this one. Travis Whirling staying in front, but for how long? 3.9 seconds the gap to Ray Partridge and Ryan Steele. Partridge in front by just 15 1/100ths of a second. Again, Partridge and Steele, you just have to imagine they're draft swapping at this point, so let's assume that they are, because it looks far too clean and too organized to have it be anything but that. But once again, they're not doing a good enough job of it. They seem to gain a lot on these straightaways, but once they get into the corners, something going on that they're just not able to track down that car ahead of Travis Whirling. Now, one of the other adjustments that I did not mention earlier that these cars have is the ability to control the fuel map. Now, the fuel map is quite an important device or I guess electric limiter, depending on how you want to look at it, but it's a very important setting on these race cars, because what it allows you to do is essentially lean the car out or richen the car back up. So as naturally as you can imagine, when you go richer, you go up in fuel usage, but also your performance goes up. You lean it out, it goes the other way. So typically what will happen is you have 8 different mapping modes for these Indy cars, and so the number 1 through number 5 are from the richest to the least richest in the car numbers. And there we see Aaron McQuarrie, very late entry that time into the pits. Very, very late entry that time. So I think he either he sharpened up on his pit entries, or he definitely had damage on the previous entry. But either way, McQuarrie having to come in here as he made that earlier stop. But as I was talking about, so then the 6th and 7th positions are actually a butterfly or a linear shape throttle. So it's not really anything to do with fuel savings. It's technically full fuel, just a different throttle shape. And then finally, fuel map 8 is safety car. So some of the ways that you might run one of these cars is we see Macquarie coming back out of the pits here, and he'll fall in behind race leader Travis Whirling. There you can see whirling up the road from Macquarie. But typically what you would be doing is, if I were Aaron Macquarie and I'm not trying to fuel save, well, I just leave it in fuel map 1. Sometimes fuel map 2 can be almost exactly the same as fuel map 1. And on certain tracks, it's been interesting. Fuel map 1 or 2 haven't even been the fastest to use. Sometimes on some tracks, fuel map 3 can even be slightly faster because it will settle the rear of the car at different points of the stint. So, but then you get up into fuel map 4 and 5. These are really high fuel saving. There is a very good chance you could save as much as 1/10 of a lap of fuel per lap. So, of course, that does add up over 10 laps. You might be able to save a whole lap of fuel. It's not quite that easy or clean, and it depends on whether you're in traffic, but you play the game by playing that dial. And once again, you can do some other stuff like play around with that fuel map 8. You can, on cautions, you can clutch and coast. Heck, if you have enough of a lead, let's say you've taken yourself out of the strategy of the rest of the drivers, and you put yourself out there like Aaron Macquarie, let's say he's got a big lead by a half a lap or something like that, and he knows it. And, well, we've got something going on here, and I believe it's Michael Peters, and it is. Unfortunately, it's Michael Peters sideways. Now, I don't think he's done too much damage. He should be able to get that car back together. We were just talking about the fuel map, and so, unfortunately, we will take a look back here and see what happened to Michael. We'll watch him heading out towards turn 3. Oh, it looks like he just gets into the wall. Not entirely sure there. Let's go ahead and take one more look. See if we can see if... Now, normally, and he's got a little bit of right-hand lock on the car, so doesn't look like he made any contact. He's not exactly running super fast through the corner. It could be his tires at that point, and then looks like the car just moves a little bit more to the right than he needed. So a little bit more correction, and maybe trying to get a little bit of extra arc for turn 3. And so that will bring out our first caution of the day, as Peters gets caught back up to the group. And this is going to do some interesting things for this group. Now, one of the things that it will do is it will position Aaron Macquarie a lap down. Now, let's see if we can understand. All of these leaders now coming into the pits will get the pit scoring stripe there underneath. You can see it. And you can tell how long it takes these drivers to get down pit lane. In the meantime, we watch Macquarie riding around behind, that is McGreevy, and McGreevy also laps down. So Macquarie will get his lap back here, as will McGreevy will get a lap back as well. So we'll see how this all shakes out here in just a moment. And in the meantime, we watch them come off of pit lane, and it's Travis Whirling in first, Ryan Steele in second, and Ray Partridge in third. Mike Grandy getting back out into fourth. And so that is going to be up 6 spots for Mike. Racing for Voodoo there. And Lynn Kenchalo in 5th spot, dropping back 1 place since the start, but great looking car there. Numerous sponsors on board, trying to ride around and Hopefully get some of those sponsor executives into that victory lane and get a taste of that cold milk waiting for the victor here of the Pro 2 Americas or Major Series round number 6. So once again, I am Trevor Greenfield, and you are watching VirtualRacing.Network's live coverage of the Major Series round number 6 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500, the 10th running of the group here at the Speedway. And it is just fantastic that I get a chance to call this race once again. Had a real-life IndyCar race yesterday at the Speedway on the road course, and woke up this morning and called the U.S. IndyCar League from Auto Club Speedway, place that I grew up near. And tonight get a chance to call it from the Hollowed Yard of Bricks. How cool is that? Yes, definitely let us know over in YouTube chat how you're doing, and let us know where you're watching from. Yeah, it's in fact Dawn chiming in there from YouTube land and letting us know it is time for Steele and Partridge to try to work together to reel the leader in. And we did talk about that a bit, and I agree that they are going to have to work together. These drivers are really going to have to work together if they are going to be able to catch the leader for certain. Travis has had the pace and kind of looked like he was in control pretty much this whole race, starting pole position and not really looking back. But we have the pace lights off here, and we're going to be getting going here in just a moment. As you see, Michael Peters still on pit road taking service. He's going to try to get back around here, but I don't think he'll quite make it to the back, and he is shown a lap down. So the field begins to form up again. It will be a single file restart. And as soon as the pace car is in, it is Warling's ability to then choose whenever he wants to step on that right foot and bring this one to the start-finish stripe. It's a long ways down this start-finish straightaway. We wait, and there he goes. Back underway here, lap 54 of the Pro 2 Americas race for the Major Series. As they head down the back straightaway again, it is Warling with Steele just in tow. Partridge has fallen a little bit off of this group. We'll see if he can catch back up. But of course, it was Steele who had passed Partridge just earlier and was setting sail trying to catch Travis Warling. I think he figured out that it wasn't going to work for him to work with Partridge. Steele did, and perhaps decided to take measures into his own hands. And now Steele kind of all over the back of Warling. Warling sets up on the high side, coming out of turn 2. Could this be a move down the back straightaway for the number 12 car? There it is, practically down on the ground, next to the nose cone on this Dallara IR18. Completing lap 55. And it's Ryan Steele now in position to chase down leader Travis Warling after that yellow flag brought out by Michael Peters. Peters now officially shown 1 lap down, and McGreevy 2 laps down after making it around. McQuarrie officially located back in 10th place after everything is said and done. So will McQuarrie have the speed now that he doesn't have the freshies when everyone else doesn't? We'll see. In the meantime, Steele and Warling having to work under some lap traffic there. As you saw on your camera, things getting a little tight. So lap traffic already playing a factor. And there's looks to make a move. The exit turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Familiar sight of Ryan Steele just in tow. That is in fact Ray Partridge, who's running in that third spot, who poked his nose up there. So Partridge actually clearing, coming back up in such a hurry. I thought that he was lap traffic, but in fact he is not. And in fact, Partridge right to the lead. He says, I'm no lap traffic. Who's this guy in the booth? What does he know? I'm going straight to the front. So book it. Partridge to the lead here for the Major Series round number 6. How much longer will Travis Worling, who led all of those laps and started from pole position, how long will Travis allow Ray to sit out there in front and use up all that clean air? We'll find out. We've got 142 laps remaining in this one. Clicking it off pretty quick, I do say. Fortunately, not too many cautions catching us out thus far. Just the one for Michael Peters, but we're now playing weaving games on the backstretch as Ray Partridge weaves, tries to break that toe. Travis Worling, Ryan Steele there in tow. Michael Grandy dropping back just a little bit. Work back through the field here. That's Worling in the 90 car there in second place. Third, Steele having a very good race. That's your podium. Mike Grandy Sr. racing for Voodoo up there in fourth. Lynn Cancelo in fifth spot, your top 5. Number 44. That multicolored paint job always makes you wonder what they... It's so personal. If you just look at the colors on Lynn Cancelo's machine, I mean, it's a very personal color combination. And you see that on iRacing a lot. It's very easy to get into the paint shop and make your adjustments, put in your favorite colors, and, well, it's always something to say that person has an interesting personality. What interesting color choices. David Henger, they're racing in 6th spot. Also quite an interesting color combo in the 066 machine. Got that geodesic pattern going on. Shades of our Last Lap Motorsports old livery from the old days. Here's Clint Martin for Scour's organization in 7th. He's gained a spot. David Hanger, by the way, up 6 spots from where he qualified. And we just mentioned he was in 10th just a moment ago, but this is Aaron McQuarrie, already up into 8th. As I mentioned, he's one of these drivers that just has a ton of experience, and he's now racing side by side, and McQuarrie gets a little bit out into that outside wall. I don't know if that will cost him, but racing side by side with the blinking Clint Martin, and that is just really rough go of it for Clint and his blinking connection, really struggling here. Aaron Roofs back in 9th, gained 2 spots, and he might just get a freebie here out of Clint, as Clint's connection seems to really be acting up. And back to the last driver here in our top 10, Jason Wallet. Having a decent run in the top 10, but I have to say I've seen Jason run some pretty good races. And so I'm sure that is not where Jason wants to be right now. Tyler Scaralli looking with Michael Peters here. That is a race 4 position. So they are racing for 11th and 12th, but equally likely that they realize there's no sense pointing racing for 11th and 12th place at the moment. 130 some laps to go. Do we have somebody else having an issue there? I saw some smoke. I don't have any notes at the moment, so I don't see any problems, but We do have Brian McGreevy back into the pits, and that machine is a little bit damaged, so possibly did we have a moment with McGreevy. Let's see if we can, and indeed, yes, we do have a damaged machine. Let's see if we can track down where this happened. Bit like sleuthing it out here, VirtualRacing.Network, because, well, there's not a team of 20 of us searching through these replays. And it looks like just a little bit of netcode, possibly, and a drifting up the track of Aaron McQuarrie there. We're going to take a look one more time. Let's watch from the roll bar. You'll see McQuarrie enter the picture on the left-hand side. And I don't know what to say about that one. I think McQuarrie kind of already made the pass. And, you know, it's maybe a little bit of McGreevy staying a little low on the track and McQuarrie maybe coming up a little bit. Tough to say, but back here at the front, once we get back to the live picture, there you go. Ray Partridge leading Travis Whirling. Whirling led many of the first laps here, but it's now Ray Partridge's turn. Partridge in that very colorful number 8 machine. Try to get a closer look, and in fact, carrying that Dog Bear team name. So Dog Bear currently first and third. And is... I'm not sure. I don't think Travis Whirling is part of that same group. But Dog Bear, part of the M-Tech series as well, had fun racing with their team. Always gentlemen on the track. I believe they were racing in a different class than us, though. And obviously all of these racers get around. It's so fun to see them in an Indy car when you just last saw them in a GT car, and see who's able to go 220 miles an hour plus into the corner. Hey, I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and ride with Ray Partridge around the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here's what it's going to be like from Ray's point of view. And indeed, that is a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a fun track to drive. It's 4 very different corners, and of course, you have this special race going on. Several very special races, one-off races. This is of course, part of the major series. This is round number 6 of the majors, and numerous Indy 500 races have been going on for the last several months, and of course, the official fixed 500 was this week. So many of these competitors would have been racing in those fixed 500s, and then coming up this next week will be the official 500s as well. As you see a driver pulling off there down low, I believe that's Brian McGreevy getting out of the way. So we take a look back here. This is a race for position. This is Lynn Kenchelot for 4th place, and Aaron McQuarrie fighting now for 4th and 5th on the track. McQuarrie still on that slightly different pit strategy than the rest of the group. He came in 5 laps before everybody, but it's close enough that you could say he's in the ballpark that, well, I mean, if it's less than 5 laps as he slides right up in front of Lynn Kenchelot, Wow, there was not more than a paper's width between those two cars as Macquarie tried to slide up and take the air off the nose of Kincheloe's car. It's looking back from Kincheloe. And there, looking forward, you can see Macquarie starting to escape off the front of Kincheloe's car. So just to recap, had a couple of cautions today, but so far pretty clean. 72 laps now done, or 72 laps we are working on here. 71 laps done, and Ray Partridge is your leader. He's been the leader for about 15 laps, and taking over the lead from Travis Worling, who qualified on the pole and led most of our opening laps. And of course, this place just really hard to make passes. You kind of course you can go up there and you can try and there we're watching Worling spinning, saving the car. I could just see him just getting loose coming through turn one. My goodness. Brings it back together, but he's lost several spots. Worling was in the lead, was then in second, now racing next to his teammate, Jason Wallet, and has slid back. So from second place all the way back to seventh that quickly, that is how quick it can get away from you. You know, why don't we go ahead and step back a lap? This was just one lap ago. We're watching the replay here. We'll go on board. Coming through turn one, and they're just probably taking a little bit too much track coming down below that white line. Worling, wow, getting very close to the grass there also on that pit road. Just doing a fantastic job of saving that car, keeping it out of the wall. Just unbelievably good job to keep that thing pointed straight forward, and as a result, he'll live to fight another day. Still on the lead lap and can always get some new tires. But I think it makes Ray Partridge and what he's managed to do here look even more impressive up there in the front, and currently in first, but has gained a spot since the start, taking that position, of course, away from Travis Worling just a moment ago. Ryan Steele hanging on to second place in that army-looking machine. Looks camouflage, kind of like a Sopwith camel. Maybe that's what you're going for, like the British Air Force. Not sure if that's what Ryan is going for. But he's got his sights set on Ray Partridge, I tell you that much. Even though I think Partridge is a teammate, pretty sure Steele would like to taste that milk and not just look at Ray drink it at the end of this one. And also, here's another driver, Aaron Macquarie, who, as I mentioned, we actually did the iRacing IndyCar Series fixed races. We did a whole season of them here on VirtualRacing.Network last year, and you can pull those up right here in our archive here on VirtualRacing.Network. And Macquarie had a number of very good runs. Never got a chance to get him up there in that victory circle, but shoot, anytime's a good time. We also did some IndyCar iRacing Series. That, of course, is the IIS, which is the year, well, not year-long, but spans the course of the year, several seasons long series that is underway again here in 2022. We covered the entirety of 2021 and got a chance to cover some races that Aaron Macquarie was in. So, very talented driver, and certainly is somebody that you can say is always going to be competitive running in that mid-pack group, but right now up in podium contention territory and has had the fastest car at various points in this race. Taking a look at the best laps there on track over the course of this one, and it looks like Steele so far pretty close to the fastest lap. McGreevy actually slightly faster at a 40.52. Steele with a 40.54. And so if we compare that to the last lap times, well, it's Partridge a 41.22, Steele with a slightly faster 41.12. Macquarie almost the same speed as your leader, 41.27. And Kenchello there in fourth place with a 41.45. So a little bit slower for Kenchello as well as Grandy Sr. And now we see Macquarie coming in for that pit stop. Slightly, as we mentioned, off strategy of everyone else. So we expect everyone else here to come in about 5 more laps. So here we watch Ray Partridge trying to get a draft off of, I believe that is Travis Worling just in front, and it is. So Worling will take a look out the back of Worling's machine. Now, it was not long ago that it was Worling running in front, looking out the back at, well, at the time it was actually Ryan Steele, but earlier than that it was Ray Partridge. And that was for the lead. But now, in fact, it's Ray Partridge in the lead, and it's Worling who had the issue, now trying to recover, and after his pit stop, trying to stay ahead of the leader. Looks like he's able to do it. Those fresh tires getting him through the corner much, much faster than the leader, Ray Partridge, there. Certainly this draft will begin to take its effect, but it might take a couple of laps until Partridge is able to, in fact, get by Worling. So we've got Aaron Roofs now into the pits. Roofs with that 426 machine. I hear another machine scraping walls down here. I'm not sure what we just heard, but it looked like somebody else had another moment there. Roofs into his pit box receiving service, and there you can see Tyler Scarali into the pits. We also got Brian McGreevy and Joey Haynes. You can see just in front, Haynes and McGreevy qualified right up at the front, and they were having a sensational race until they had an incident that almost completely wiped out both of them. Fortunately, they were able to get their cars repaired, but it did set them back. McGreevy now quite a ways back. Why don't we go ahead and get, though, the track map up there so you can see. And there you can see Ryan Steele having to work his way around. So now a good time to go ahead and check in. Well, actually, we've got Mike Grandy Sr. coming into the pits. Looks very, very warm in the temperature on those brakes coming in, and Jason Wallet as well. There is also Michael Peters, race sponsor, into the pit lane at the moment, taking on routine service. Peters starting to fall down through the order, but had climbed back up into the top 10. Had a moment not long ago. We also see, as I mentioned, Wallet and Grandy Sr. into the pits. Peters brought out a yellow flag, but fortunately didn't do too much damage, able to get that car fixed. And as I mentioned, as a result, had been climbing up in the order. So now Steele takes over the lead as... Steele actually now falling back from the lead as he pits in for his not final pit stop. Oh no, we're still a ways away from those final pit stops. But Steele does pit, and that gives over the lead to David Hanger. So Hanger now getting credit for leading a lap, and presumably getting a bonus point in the championship for doing so. So once again, thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in, continues to tune in, and likes this broadcast. We do appreciate it. And for those of you just checking in now, been missing a very clean, good race. Just a couple of incidents early on. Brian McGreevy, Joey Haynes getting into an incident. They qualified near the front, kind of taking each other out of contention and needing to get car repairs. And then just a later accident, just pretty much involving Macquarie and my attention focused elsewhere. Michael Peters and Macquarie having that issue. And so what that has done is it gave over the race lead to Travis Worling, but Worling himself got passed by Ray Partridge, and as a result, then Partridge put a little bit of extra air on the front of Travis's car, and Travis almost went around and lost it coming through turn 1 and 2, barely kept the car together, and as a result was able to keep the car on the track, though losing multiple positions. So slowly starting to creep back into this picture, Travis is, but we've got a ways to go as you watch here from overhead in the blimp. Beautiful facility here in Indianapolis. Of course, it's the old Scan, and the old track, the old road course runs right through. Well, I mean, the new road course does too, but this is the old Scan. So that track running right through the inside of the oval here at the Speedway. And obviously it won't look the same as the track that was used out there yesterday by the real-life Indy cars, because although we've heard that iRacing has revisited Indianapolis Motor Speedway and done a scan, for some reason we're not getting it, or it hasn't been released yet. So one day soon we will get a new oval with the correct bumps and the correct everything laser scanned, and to go with that we'll get the brand new road course. And we have a note that Mike Grandy having a moment and jumping to the pits. I'm not sure what happened there. Do we see damage on board the car? I don't see anything. He just pulls it to a stop. I'm not sure if... It didn't really look like he had a problem. He just disconnected. So I'm not sure if maybe he had possibly a real life thing to get to. Sometimes that happens, you know, you have an emergency, and Indy 500 major series or not, when the wife says it's you know, time to take out papers in the trash, that's what time it is. No, most of these drivers here, as you watch Ryan Steele trying to weave in front of Aaron Macquarie, this is your race lead right here. It's Ryan Steele, Aaron Macquarie, and Ray Partridge on lap number 90 of 200, running 1, 2, 3, and about a second covering your top group. Steele doing everything he can to try to clear that orange and white and blue machine back there of Aaron Macquarie. Does it work? Somewhat. It can. Certainly can. And of course, how can I forget that Aaron Macquarie, also part of the Scours organization, great team that has formed here in the Indy cars, on iRacing, the IndyCar community. And once again, David Graybill, big part of that group, leading the charge there. And more than anything, just a cooperative group that maybe doesn't function as a more, rigid team would, assigning duties and responsibilities and such like that, but certainly sharing a lot of information and trying to help each other out to try to get the most out of these Indy cars and try and move forward on the track each and every race. And so, it's sometimes it's just great to just, I mean, even if they're not teammates in the classic sense of the word, sometimes it's just great to have people to race with in the same race as you that can be there on the headset, and you can talk back and forth with, and they can let you know what's happening over in turn 3 or turn 4 while you're in turn 1, turn 2. Oh, there's a wreck. Somebody's up high in turn 2. Stay clear. That kind of stuff can be so valuable, especially if you don't have a full-time spotter. So many of the top split racers and many top split teams will supply spotters to their top racers. But again, in a slightly less formal group like Scours, maybe some races they do have spotters, some races they don't have spotters. And so rather than just trust the iRacing spotter, so much better to have that teammate or somebody that that can feed you really good key information and possibly let you know a little bit about what the other drivers are doing. So for example, as we jump down here, we look at the cockpit controls, we can take a look here on board with Ray Partridge and see exactly what gear he's running, kind of what RPMs he's running. Technically, you can see some other information on the dash, but iRacing blocks most of that information out so that other drivers can't gain too much of an unfair advantage. Nevertheless, there is some info that you can glean if you're a spotter, and so, it's all good stuff, all part of the strategy that you have to play out, and that's why I say, in the end, it only takes 2 to make a race, but 14 cars, hey, a lot of times, a lot of leagues will only see 14 cars. A lot of official races will only see 14 cars. And so while they can fit 33 here, that doesn't necessarily make it a better race. And these three proving exactly that. Ryan Steele out in front here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on lap 96. Racing for Dog Bear, the team that has done so much now with the Majors group, and trying to take a victory would be so meaningful here for the America's Pro 2 team of Dog Bear, with Ryan Steele and Ray Partridge here in the field. And of course, they're racing alongside of Aaron McQuarrie of Scours and numerous other teams represented here in the field. So a great chance once again to kind of prove something. So we'll look a little bit further back here and we'll see Lynn Kinchelow started fourth, currently running in fourth in the 44 machine. Even funnier is the fact that they're now 4 seconds behind. I'm sorry, 4.04 seconds behind the leader, Ryan Steele. So that's a lot of fours. I don't know what it means. Does that mean Lynn Kinchelow ends up winning the race? I'm not up on my numerology. Someone chime in the comments or over in chat. Let me know if fours are a good thing or not. I know in tarot it's not necessarily great. It's sort of mid-pack. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, a fourth in this race might be a good thing. It depends on where you're at in the championship and whether you thought you would be fourth to begin with in the first place. Taking a look back at Travis Whirling now. Unfortunate for Travis in that 90 machine, because he really had just a really great race going, and then just got it a little bit crossed up as he was riding around behind Ray Partridge not that long ago, and practically spun off and came to a stop down on the inside and got it corrected, and then got the car going again. And so Warling losing multiple positions there, now through a couple of yellow flag segments, but now holding on in 5th place, and I think just going to try to wait this one out and see if there's a way to get the tires underneath him. See if he can get up there, make some passes, maybe do some fuel saving, etc. to try to take the win here. And it just seems like we've occasionally been mentioning him, but I mean, he's in 6th spot now, so I guess it's pretty legit. Aaron Roofs, the Savvy Ninja, currently running there in 6th spot and looking pretty sharp in the purple and gold. Slightly different gold color than the other purple and gold athletic team that is so famous. More of a gold on Aaron's machine, but Aaron doing a great job, up 5 spots today, and really doing well in that 6th position. Certainly can see 4th place from there, so going to be playing those late jackers, the ARBs, to his advantage, and just trying to find a way to stay up there with 4th and 5th and possibly take a chance at something even better. So Roofs giving that car a good ride today, up 5 spots, but David Henger was in the lead not long ago. David currently back in 7th, up 5 spots today, looking great. But we'll have to see if he's on the right strategy to make it up to the front today, because it does look like this one is going to see a lot of green flag racing. Just, I think, ultimately good for all of us. I don't think anybody wants to sit through too many cautions. As you see Ryan Steele there working his way through lap traffic, that is indeed Tyler Scarali and Michael Peters just behind. So Peters... No, I'm sorry, that is Tyler Scarali, and he's now just in front, just slipped behind Aaron McQuarrie, and in front of Ray Partridge. And there, McQuarrie, if you're watching, tries to use that lap car to try to get a little bit of a draft and get back up there, get up to Ryan Steele. And Steele really weaving here on the front stretch. You could say it doesn't work, but I mean, to me, it looks like it's working. And there I see a note. I'm getting a note here from Clint Martin. Unfortunately, he was blinking, so he dropped out of the race. And, you know, I have to say that's a very gentlemanly thing for Clint to do. I've had a chance to race against Clint numerous times. I've covered him in the IIS series. And, I mean, what can you say as we take a look back here, and it's Travis Warling who's gotten by now Ray Partridge. So this just happened just a moment ago, and now Partridge starting to fall off. He's now come into the pits, so I think Partridge preparing for that pit stop, and they're coming into the pits. Of course, he's going to lose quite a few spots, but we move back to the lead, and it is Ryan Steele with Aaron McQuarrie just behind, and I think that weaving is working. It's obviously not the way that you probably are, you'd want to win. Certainly a lot more work to have to do. You got to weave back and forth on the front straight. Much easier, just keep the thing in a straight line, but either way, Ryan Steele doing the work to get it done here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Your leader after 105 laps. And there you see Ray Partridge exiting the pits just behind the leader. It's actually good news for him if he can manage to hold that draft And very soon, he'll have the fresh tires to go up there and challenge Ryan Steele momentarily, as we have seen previously. So Ryan Steele continuing to lead here. Question mark as to when Steele will make that pit stop. Stopped last on lap 84, so we're now 107. Make that 100 starting on lap 108. So it has been plenty of laps. We'll have to see. Aaron McQuarrie actually last stopped on 79. We've got Travis Whirling last on lap 78. So what these drivers like Whirling and McQuarrie are probably hoping for right now is a yellow flag to come out so that they can get a stop in at the same time as all these other leaders and kind of flatten this strategy a little bit. But either way, there you saw Partridge able to get around Steele. And of course, that was not for position. There, Whirling in the background did just come into the pits. Steele riding the backside of the previously lapped car of Partridge, but now Partridge unlapping himself and going for broke, trying to make his way around and do a number to get back into this race here. Partridge was running near the front and then made his pit stop and has since dropped back a little bit. But as he's walking off the front of Ryan Steele, just a bit, boy, that draft is so prevalent here. It's just absolutely astounding how much he gains. Let's watch Ryan Steele here, see how much he gains once again on that car of Ray Partridge. As they go down the back straight, Partridge dives down to the inside to take advantage of, I believe that's going to be Travis Whirling just in front. And so those two are going to want to try to work together, Partridge and Whirling, and that kind of puts Steele in a different position where we're on, they stopped much later. And so now we see that Aaron Roofs has made a pit stop out of the third spot. So he is now on to pit road, and we're just waiting to see how this one kind of works out here and which lap Ryan Steele will make it in on. So once again, we appreciate everybody joining us here for the Majors Series round number 6. You're watching Ryan Steele continue his leading here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the Indy 500 and the America's Pro 2 split. So great to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. And as always, such a pleasure to cover any race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, let alone for a great organization such as the Major Series. And of course, this is not an official Major Series broadcast. Very fortunate that they allowed the go-ahead on this. Michael Peters was the one who came forward and said that he wanted to know if we could do a broadcast of the Pro 2 split. And they gave their go-ahead, and Peters sponsoring it, coming up with the fee. So once again, if you could, please tell him thank you by going down into the description. You'll see a link to his PayPal. Slip him a little thank you note. Say, thanks, Mr. Peters. You got Trevor to hang out on Sunday and call a race for us here on VirtualRacing.Network. Actually, It would have been great if I could have gotten another commentator, but everybody was booked on such short notice. Literally tried quite a few of my friends in the biz, people that I work with regularly, and literally everybody was busy. But that's okay, because I love calling 2.5-hour races from the Brickyard by myself. Ryan Steele here in 12th spot, or I'm sorry, in the 12 car, pitting from the lead, now in third. And so that is going to give over the lead to Jason Wallet, who has been very patient, running a very clean race today, up 6 spots. And there he finds himself out there in the lead. Last stopped on lap 83. And now David Henger is going to be in second. And so Wallet makes his way into the pits. Get that car slowed up right for that white line and those 2 yellow cones. So he'll make his way down this long pit road. And absolutely, if anybody wants to join me in the booth here, including Clint Martin, or anybody else who has IndyCar experience, you're more than welcome to step on in. Not really any super rules here today. We're just trying to have a good time and enjoy this race and try to cover it for you and keep track of some of these strategies that are going on. Jason Wallet now exiting the pits. As you can see, dropping back to 8th on that pit stop exchange. So momentarily getting a chance to kind of be out there in the limelight, but has to drop back again as David Henger now, he's got a 20-second gap back to Aaron McQuarrie. McQuarrie has stopped, so in fact, McQuarrie has undercut everybody and will assume the lead. We'll take a look back at this battle. Here is McQuarrie ahead of Steele. So that was not a pass made on track. I don't believe. Oh, wait a minute. I do have something here. And Steele all over the back of McQuarrie. Henger now in the pit. So this is going to allow McQuarrie to take the lead again. And now the fight is on. McQuarrie and Steele have no such deal worked out. These are definitely two different teams working here in the major series. So Team Scours for Aaron McQuarrie and Team Dogbear there for Ryan Steele. They have no such deal worked out whatsoever to drop or to swaft drop swaft? No. Draft swap. As you see a late move there into turn 3 by Ryan Steele for Team Dogbear, moving forward in that World War II era livery. And McQuarrie now looks to the inside. I think we've got some draft battling on our hands happening here. Wow, across the front of the nose of Ryan Steele, McQuarrie slides. Perhaps too much as he drifts up high. He does manage to save the car from going too high towards the outside wall, but he was not able to keep the car at bay behind him. And now McQuarrie throws it into turn 3 ahead of Steele once again. Gets a little bit of a turn down off of 3, has to hold it in tight. Probably cranking up that weight jacker to keep it down so tight, and he loses the momentum off the corner. The lead once again belongs to Ryan Steele. Battling at over 220 miles per hour here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's two drivers giving each other just enough space to get these maneuvers done, and that's about it. So will McQuarrie have anything for Steele? Steele stopping on lap 113 and McQuarrie on 109. I doubt those 4 laps make that much difference to the tires. nevertheless, we'll get that weather back up there again. And in fact, it is 122 degrees on the track with a 7-mile-per-hour cross breeze. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we could still be getting hotter. Usually we see our zenith right around 2 o'clock, sometimes as late as 3, but depends on what part of the year it is, so got to keep an eye on that weather, always so important. And as we've mentioned, we haven't seen the infamous too high weight jacker spinning people out situation yet. But that doesn't mean that we won't see some people having that issue as the racing gets a bit tighter in the long going here. Less than 80 laps remain for the Major Series 2022, round number 6, Indy 500. And now is the time when these drivers are really going to be trying to work with their friends to try to move up to that front group and stay within close contention. If you've had a problem a little bit further back, you're going to be trying to regroup, get that strategy together, and get up there towards the front so that you don't get left behind if this is a long green flag stretch, as some of these stretches have been quite long. Just some of the beautiful sights here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Had some fun putting together these cameras ahead of time. Still kind of learning the camera system and all of what you can do, but fun putting together these little drone shots like that one. And numerous others. We're all kind of fans here of the IndyCar League and various other series around the world, and going back over the years, back into Champ Car, Kart, IndyCar the first time, and Kart, and of course some of the racers on iRacing old enough to remember back in the old USAC days. Pretty cool stuff, but it's a great thing to be able to take your fandom to the next level, and that's really what iRacing is all about. Giving you a chance as a fan, a racer, somebody who just wants to get closer to their favorite form of sport and get out there on the track like these drivers do from all over the world, and give it a chance to see whether or not they can be the fastest driver and take that win, take that elusive championship, and really try to... It's a whole thing. I mean, just to get permission to use these Indy cars in an official race, you have to get up into a Class C license. That's a small feat in itself. It's definitely going to take you a few weeks to maybe a month just to figure out how to do that. Some drivers, very sophisticated, getting in, able to get up into, like, say, a Class C license fairly quickly, but similarly, you have to get to a Class B license to get into the Indy Open Series. So that's even more difficult and requires quite a bit of concentration to get your license into that level. And you're looking at a bunch of drivers who have Class A licenses, with Tyler Scaralli just having a Class D license, but most of these drivers also, you're looking at Ryan Steele and Aaron McQuarrie with 4.99 safety rating and a Class A license, and that just, it speaks volumes about how much time and work and expertise they truly have behind those cars, because a safety rating of 4.99 would be, that's the max you can get, and an A license is the max that you can get before you get to the pro level licenses. So literally, these drivers, Ryan Steele, Aaron McQuarrie, these are the equivalent of A+ rated drivers. These are, like FIA, they're maybe not like super license, but they're like, gold license level drivers. And certainly Majors has their own rating system, gold, silver, platinum. And so they do base that off of iRating or based off of previous racing that you've done with the majors. But it does just speak volumes to how hard it is to get these cars out there on the track, keep them together during a race, not hit anything or anybody, and still be able to get your license and your safety rating that high. It just, as I mentioned before, it speaks to the car control and capabilities of all of these drivers that are part of this race. No slouches whatsoever, and believe me, the wannabes get separated real fast in iRacing, real fast. They often complain very quickly that the cars are too hard to drive, and that's usually the last that you see of them, as we see Travis Worling come back from the back of the pack to now try to make a move on Aaron McQuarrie, who's been running in that second spot. So will he be able to do it here, as we are now looking at just about 70 laps remaining here? So a little over 70. He took a look down the inside of McQuarrie. He's looking again. Coming through turn 2, out onto the backstretch. Trying to get that run down the inside of McQuarrie. There he goes. See him making that pass to the inside. Can't quite hold the car. Has to drift back up the track. And unfortunately can't complete the pass. There he looks to the outside. Kind of gets chopped a little bit by McQuarrie. So he'll reset and try again. Worling pulls it down to the inside in turn 1. Once again, nothing doing. And there gets very high on exit, almost up into the outside wall. Very easy to do up there at turn 2. So you've got to watch it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you see Aaron McQuarrie kind of going a little bit high there as well, trying to chase down Ryan Steele. So once again, that's what I'm talking about. You cannot get... You're running this race. You've been running behind somebody. You think you got it all figured out. And that's exactly when you got to be on your toes and really ready to make a change to the car, because the next thing you know, somebody slices up the track in front of you, takes some of the air off of the car just like that. And there he goes out into the outside wall. Travis Worling. And there another car is around. I believe it's Lynn Kinchlow. Lynn Kinchlow has crashed out of turn 2, and that will bring out the yellow flag. Kinchlow severely damaged in that accident. And of course, we will give you full coverage of this incident coming up shortly. So we jump back here and we take a look at what brought out this problem, and that was just a little bit too early. Kinchlow was part of this group. I take it back, not part of the group. Actually, at that point, had been separated out to be by themselves. Now coming through turn 2, just a little bit high on entry, and there you go. Now, I don't know if we can do this, but let's just back up. We're going to back up one more lap. Now, this is one lap earlier. This was not the lap that Lynn crashed on. Now, watch Lynn come through the corner. Does Lynn come through high or low? See how much lower Lynn is in that corner. Now, we're going to go the next lap, and I believe this is the lap that Lynn crashed on. Let's see. A little bit low through turn 1, brings you up to a normal line. Brings it down, but it's still about 1.5 feet too far, too high through turn 2. And you know, that, like I said, very well could have simply have been the fact that he was still just maybe, a second to a second and a half behind the car in front, just catching that tail end little wisp of aero push. And that could have been just enough to change where Lynn thought that car was going to go on the track coming through turn 2. But once again, Just when you think you got it figured out, you don't. There's Travis whirling back into the pits. We've got pretty much everybody into the pits now. We may have had a split strategy at one point, but the only people on a separate strategy at this point are going to be Kinchelo and Peters, as Steele, McQuarrie, Aaron Roofs gets back out there in third, Partridge in fourth, Hanger there in fifth, and Wallot in sixth. Travis whirling in seventh, and still taking on repair, or perhaps having to serve a penalty. Blinking out a little bit, maybe stepping out of the car, getting back in. I'm going to guess that was maybe a speeding penalty for whirling, and as a result is having to wait here in the pits, and finally gets going again. So yes, I do think that's what that was. Or perhaps taking that damage repair, because we did see whirling scrape that wall, so very likely that could have been what was happening there on pit road. One of the two, either way, taking care of that, and back out and underway. So we are under caution here, officially for the second time, it says, according to our software. But we've had multiple incidents previously, so while that is true, that we are under our second caution, not the first incident of the day to affect these competitors. So continuing here under caution, it is Ryan Steele who leads Aaron McQuarrie and Aaron Roofs currently running in third. And for those who are concerned, there he is, the sponsor, the man of the hour, Michael Peters, getting his lap back, being in the right place at the right time, not pitting with the rest of the group here. And as a result, it's going to get that wave around and will get his lap back. So I'm sure that, that's just the first step. It's more of a solidification of being in the top 10 than really anything else. But, hey, what you're saying is he's got a chance, and you bet he does. Starting back there in ninth after this restart, and he's gonna need to get around the track here. We've got the leaders on the backstretch, so you can see where he is in relation to them, but he should be able to catch up no problem. And indeed, he does have a chance. He'll be starting from ninth. It'll be a bit tricky, but there you see him coming into the screen now, coming up to the back of the group. Michael Peters, after that earlier incident, keeping the car from being too heavily damaged, is now going to have a chance at possibly a top 5 in his own sponsored race, which is pretty cool. Maybe better than that. Who knows? Hey, I have won races that I absolutely had no business winning. Not that Michael doesn't deserve it, but I mean, myself, I have seen it done. So, will that be the case here? We've got about 66 more laps to figure it out. 65 now. After we go past that start-finish stripe, it's Ryan Steele leading us back to green, and Aaron McQuarrie second, Aaron Roofs third. Cars get back up to temp. Brand new tires, fresh fuel on board. They will not be able to make it the full distance. And unfortunately, we have Michael Peters back into the pits. So, I don't know what happened there. I have to assume it was maybe a speeding penalty. Or perhaps he just really felt like he needed to make that pit stop anyway, after he had pitted. So you can see where he is there. He's now going through turn 2 and about to exit onto the backstretch. And so he will undoubtedly be caught here very soon by the leaders and put back down that one lap. But we'll begin this whole fun game again of trying to get that lap back. Ryan Steele leading Aaron McQuarrie, but not by much. McQuarrie now making it a race. Back up there into second, Aaron Roof's racing for Wolfpack Esports in third spot. There's a good look at his purple machine. And speaking of a good look, Aaron McQuarrie's got himself the best look at the lead underneath Ryan Steele that he's had all day. There he is off of turn 2. They're side by side racing down the backstretch currently. Who will it be as they come into turn 3? McQuarrie ducks back in and Steele continues to lead. Good racing here at the Speedway as McQuarrie tried to take that position. That was a very valiant effort to try to take that spot from Steele. Unfortunately, Steele just really hanging on a bit too well. And really one of the complaints about the IndyCar and about the current situation at Indy. And so in May of last year, the IndyCar series actually introduced new floor coverings that were meant to improve the racing. I'm just trying to figure out if this was a pass going on here. We have David Hanger, yes indeed, racing with Jason Wallet there for 6th place. And Hanger and Wallet there have been trading spots. So this was, we'll go back to this. This was just a moment ago. This was Wallet and Hanger here on the backstretch. And there's Wallet getting by Hanger. Hanger holding tough on the outside. Eventually would reclaim that position once again. So these drivers not content to settle for 6th place. They're definitely trying to consider how they can get to the front. And right now it's anybody's mission to try to figure out how to get around this guy. Racing in that dog bear machine. He looks like he's got a tail gunner on that war machine. Fighting off anybody's attempt to try to overcome. But Aaron McQuarrie has been given a great battle thus far today. And we do see, once again, Wallet and Hanger battling it out now for that 5th spot. Wallet gets by, as it's still quite a ways up the track to Ray Partridge. But Wallet is now by safely. There you see out the back of the machine. Hanger moves it back into that 5th spot momentarily. Wallet on the outside. Can Wallet keep it off the wall on the outside? He manages to somehow gets that run off the high side. It's not going to be enough, I don't think, to overtake. And these two continue to race side by side here through turn 3. Racing side by side through turn 4. Will we go an entire lap side by side? In fact, we do. Entire lap side by side for Jason Wallet and David Hanger. And Hanger just in front now. Jason tries the high side again. Now switches back to the low side. Jason down to the low side. Makes his move. There he gets by Hanger. Safely, securely up there into that 5th spot. I think he says, enough of that, Hanger. I want to go up there and chase those guys up there in the lead. So quite a ways up the track. It is Ray Partridge, but Ray has been slowly closing in on the back of Aaron Roofs for that 3rd spot. Roofs doing a great job hanging on here. He's arrived up in this top 3. Kind of a matter of survival, but there he is. Partridge racing for Dog Bear. Roofs for the Wolfpack Esports. So we hope you're enjoying the broadcasting here. The Panero line, best line. Absolutely. Jesper Orman joining us, saying hello in the chat. We do appreciate it, as we just missed for a moment Macquarie getting by Peters. So Michael Peters officially getting caught by the leaders, and now they're having to deal with a little bit of lap traffic again. But Macquarie doing a great job, as is Aaron Roofs out here today. Ray Partridge hanging on to a solid fourth, and now you see Jason Wallet slipping back just a little bit. How far has he come? Well, he's come a long ways, but still has a long ways to go, and unfortunately it seems to be falling a little bit further back for Wallet. Now back at 2.78 seconds, and so definitely that battling with Hanger did not help, and certainly wouldn't have helped those tires. But here we look just behind, it's Lynn Kenchelo, who got that car fixed and now has gotten up by David Hanger there for position. So Kenchelo now up into 6th, and Hanger now back into 7th, and Hanger having a good day, up 7 spots. Kenchelo had that moment ago off of turn 2, that moment a moment ago off of turn 2, spinning out and bringing out a yellow flag, so having to fight their way back up towards the front. Keep an eye on these drivers a little bit further back, and here is Michael Peters. Well, he managed to get his lap back, but then he had to pit, and unfortunately that has put him back to a lap down again, and maybe he'll get a chance to get that lap back. But the race sponsor, Michael Peters, having a decent race. He didn't, so far he hasn't been collected in anyone else's business too much. Just an opening moment and able to get the car fixed and then get back together again. And well, as long as you can survive 200 laps at Indy, you got a chance at a top 5. So he's sticking it out, currently running in 9th spot. In the meantime, your top 5, Ryan Steele, Aaron Macquarie, Aaron Roofs, Ray Partridge, and Jason Wallet. You know, there was a time when 4 of the 5 drivers up here were different. So, exactly what I usually say in these races, you literally cannot take the fastest cars and just do a straight line projection and say that they are going to win the race or come in that order. It just doesn't work. So if you look at Steele, you know, he started in 6th spot. Aaron Macquarie started in 9th spot. Aaron Roofs started in 11th spot. So it really just tells you exactly what is going on with these drivers in terms of their racecraft versus maybe just not quite getting in the perfect qualifying lap. So just about to hit 3/4 of the way done here, and we've got, I think that's Lynn Kenchelo again. No, I apologize, it is not. I'm going to try to figure out who that was. It's Ray Partridge. Partridge off the track into the wall out of turn 2, does not bring out a yellow flag, and will have to get damage repaired under green flag. Such a sad moment for this driver who was having such a great run of it. My goodness, that destroyed Delara IR18 sitting there on pit road. You see that left side pod just flopping around, and poor Ray is now hopped out of the cockpit. What was a very promising potential podium for the Dog Bear driver now lays in shambles on pit lane. And where have we seen that before? So many times in real life. So close, and yet so far J.R. Hildebrand in most recent memory has got to come to mind as the driver off of turn 4 that just needed one more corner and just couldn't quite get it. My goodness, I mean, it's just one of those, if there isn't a story like that, you know, you look over at Daytona and people who win the Daytona 500 and are solid drivers, but, you know, like Trevor Bayne and Derek Cope, who win, and then, I mean, Derek Cope was cashing in on that for 30 years, getting rides at the Daytona 500 because he won one of them, and Trevor Bayne getting a lot of mileage out of that, out of his win. And so, you know, these drivers, for certain, you know, some of these other drivers in real life able to get a win in, and I think some of these drivers also will be looking to take a big win like this, to be quite honest with you. This would be a sizable win. Yes, it is the Pro 2 race, but for example, you know, I happen to know a pretty cool story of Ray Kingsbury and his brother Matt Kingsbury. Ray, pretty legendary around the IndyCar iRacing scene. Fantastic driver, very fast, won many races, still winning and running his own leagues, etc. But Ray running in the top split race, not the broadcasted top split race, but in the top split Indy 500 open race, and in the same split, just the different so the same time, just a different split, was his brother, second split for Matt, and they both won those races in that same time block. So, you know, brother winning the top split race, brother winning in the second split race, and I tell you what, it don't matter whether it's first split, second split. You win at Indy, and it means something. Same thing with Jimmy Broadbent. For those of you familiar with him as a streamer, you know, it's one of those things. Indy is the track, and until you've won here, and I don't think I've ever won here on iRacing in all my races, it's just a special thing. There's no feeling like it. It is the hallowed ground of IndyCar. It's been around since 1911. I think the only older track is Milwaukee. I mean, there's a couple of older tracks in the world, but in terms of the heart of IndyCar, been there since the beginning. It just doesn't get any better than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And so, again, it being America's Pro 2 or the official iRacing Indy 500, in some ways, it doesn't make any difference. And to these drivers, great competition is great competition. And so getting a chance to go out there and win any day of the week at the Indianapolis 500 is everything you could ask for. And once again, as I mentioned, you know, it is really about keeping the car underneath you and really just surviving. And if I have to say, you know, Aaron McQuarrie is one of those drivers that does play that survival game pretty well. That could be one of the reasons why you do see him there in second place. And also, we do have some good news at the moment. There's Ray Partridge able to get back out on track, and that is good news for you Ray Partridge fans of Dog Bear. Back in 11th spot, a bunch of laps down, but able to get back out into the race, and possibly we'll get some freebie positions here towards the end. But I was just going to mention Aaron Roofs. You know, Aaron, like I said, I've had a chance to run with him in a couple of different series. I remember doing a Indy Pro 18 race with him and a couple of others, and very talented, very experienced. Also had a chance to race with him over in the Elite IndyCar series. And so it's great to see Aaron get a chance to get up there and, you know, be up in the top three of this conversation. I don't want to be the one that supplies the commentator's curse, hopefully. And so we'll just kind of leave it at that. But when you talk about a guy who has been in the top five so often in races, and I've just seen him get taken out of so many races, it seems like some drivers have like magnets attached to their cars. that just have like extra power to get other drivers to come up and hit him. But Roof's one of those ones who would be looking for a big win like this, or possibly a podium position. So for those of you that are listening and are part of the Discord, part of this race, of course, we will be having podium interviews following the race, so make sure to stay tuned for that afterwards. Presuming that we have any of our drivers show up, we'd sure love that. So that's why we will be, of course, over in the Majors Discord in the broadcast number 2 booth. So head on over there after the race if you've been in this one. Doesn't matter whether you finish on the podium or not, just come on over and you can say hi. We'll make sure we get a word or two in with you before the end of this one. And so, yes, it's been a lot of fun here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just 40 laps to go for Ryan Steele. He's kept it clean all race. He's kind of been the class of the show. But he's got to look in those mirrors and say, this pesky Aaron McQuarrie of that Scours team, he just won't go away. And the scary thing about that, you know, if I'm Ryan Steele up there and I'm watching Aaron McQuarrie hanging back, I don't know how confident I am that I can hold off McQuarrie to the very end of this one. I mean, he's managed to do it every lap, but that doesn't mean that McQuarrie hasn't been carefully trying to calculate some different fuel mileage information, maybe saving a little bit of fuel in the cockpit. You know, maybe he's just saving the tires for the end. Of course, you know, he will have to make another pit stop. But I mean, these are all factors as we get to the end of this one that you're going to have to calculate in your mind if you're Ryan Steele. And you don't want to overthink it. But I mean, it does have to be worrisome that you just can't seem to leave this guy. So in the meantime, the one that knows the answers would be Aaron McQuarrie. And he would know whether he's giving it his absolute all to try to get up there and get that position from Steele or not. Or whether he's just backing off a little bit to save maybe a little bit of fuel, get an extra lap or two in. Because here we are on lap 30 or 38 laps to go. So these drivers definitely should be able to hopefully stop and fill up for their last time. And there comes Ryan Steele on cue down pit lane. Your leader is in. Jason Wallet responding as well. We take a look over at him. So these drivers now in to the pits, and we're going to try to carefully watch how long they are in their pit boxes for. So Steele, Scarali, and there you see that must have been Scarali. In fact, it was, and Scarali still has damage to that car. So electing to not take nose repair, but that's not what it's all about. We look at Wallet and 9.7 seconds in the box. Decent stop, but not the fastest that we've seen. Definitely taking a full load of fuel. And now from third place on the track is Aaron Roofs. Lynn Cancelo also in. And there's Travis Warling also coming in off the track into the pits. And I believe that's going to be no, that is not Michael Peters. My apologies. Tyler Scarali back into the pits. Now probably to take that damage repair. Tough to tell. Aaron McQuarrie now pitting out of the lead. So McQuarrie, it is shown, will possibly pit back out. Well, we're going to have to wait to find out. But it does say possibly going to pit back out in third, according to our software. So we'll wait to find out. In the meantime, David Hengert taking over the lead. On lap 165, it is Hanger in the lead, but he will still have to pit for that final time as his last pit stop coming on lap 132. So here he comes down into the pits that final time, Hanger into the pits. And eventually that will give up the lead 27 seconds down the field to Aaron McQuarrie. Now McQuarrie has made that final stop. So as you watch Hanger in the pits there, he's going to hang on to that lead for quite a long time until McQuarrie comes back around. So finally, Hanger gets going on the start-finish straight, but not fast enough to keep McQuarrie from taking the lead, with Aaron Roofs now shown in second place, and he's just behind McQuarrie. That is your gap for the lead here. Aaron Roofs currently running in second place. Just half a second is that gap behind McQuarrie to Roofs. So undoubtedly, as of this point, all of these drivers will be able to make it until the end. So we could have quite a battle on our hands at the end of this one, and we do watch to see David Hanger emerges back into fifth place. So currently the top five: Aaron McQuarrie, Aaron Roofs, Lynn Kenchalow, Jason Wallet. And if you take a look here, that's how far it is back to those two from the leaders. Lynn Kenchalow just ahead of Jason Wallet. Looks like these two racing with the same livery, so presumably the same team, though that's not in our SDK, so we don't know that. But these two drivers going to be fighting it out for third, and well, teammates or not, I mean, I'm going to fight for that final place on the podium. That means something. In the meantime, David Hanger there in fifth place, and Ryan Steele, he was in the lead. We just don't know what's happened to Ryan Steele, because he drifted so far back. Michael Peters passed Ryan Steele for P7. I'm trying to go back through the notes to figure out. It appears as though he had to sit on pit road. So my only presumption as to why somebody sits on pit road without having access to penalty information is that perhaps he was too fast entering the pits. So that could be the case. I could be guesstimating incorrectly, but that's the way that goes. And we have another moment. It looks like Tyler Scarali, it says, had a crash. So we're going to take a look at that. And I think he just brings it down. Is he out of fuel? It looks like he's run out of fuel. So Scarali, no, gets it moving a little bit there. I really don't know what to tell you on that one. He kind of coasted down. Sort of looked like he was out of fuel, but either way, still sitting on pit road, and that won't do him any good for today's race. So here's McQuarrie with Roofs just behind, and now we've got a real battle between these two. Look at Roofs making it a two-way battle for the win with just under 30 laps to go. Aaron McQuarrie and Aaron Roofs running 1-2 here in America's Pro 2. They couldn't be closer. Boy, you sure hope that they don't get too close. Hate to see anything happen here to such a great side-by-side battle happening for the win of this race. And we've already seen that happen earlier when it was McGreevy and I believe it was Scarali who, no, it was Haynes who touched earlier on. That put them back in the order, and they currently are still back in the order. Right now, these two racing very, very close, and just behind them, it's Lynn Cancelo. Well, I say just behind, 3.9 seconds back from these drivers. It's Lynn Cancelo and Jason Wallet side by side. Tyler Scaralli finally leaving the pits. And Ray Partridge still having problems and apparently having to make multiple pits. So Partridge had a great race going early on, as we watched on board with Roofs here, who really took a solid look heading into turn one. Macquarie didn't really open the door, but you have a feeling that Roofs is kind of starting to line up Macquarie, and I'm pretty sure these two would have raced against each other by now. They do so much racing around the iRacing service and in different leagues. I'm sure they must have raced each other, so there is a possibility they know each other's tendencies as racers. So will Roofs be able to somehow overcome Macquarie's sensational abilities? And Macquarie has just been one of these drivers today who has just kind of not made any wrong moves. He's looked great all day. He's been in the right place at the right time. He's been able to effect great strategy, get in and out of the pits very efficiently, and as a result, he has been able to take over the lead of this race while others have struggled, including most recently Ryan Steele, who had a real problem with that pit stop exchange, most likely taking a penalty for speeding on pit road, and that dropped him back, and he was absolutely dominant for most of the beginning of this race. In fact, if that penalty hadn't cost him, I would say he was very likely the one to go on potentially to win. But that's a bit easy to say because we still had a long ways to go, and Aaron Macquarie, the driver for Scowers, was really starting to apply the heat and has been showing well all day long. So Macquarie running very well here at the front of this one, and we're coming down to just the last 25 laps to go. Will be the call here as they come around to the start-finish stripe this time by. So across the yard of bricks they fly, and that's how fast they go by. Macquarie now starting to open up a little bit of a gap. It's about a 0.6 of a second gap, not too far for Roofs to be able to get that position back. And in the meantime, also further back, we still have this battle still happening between Lynn Cancelo and Jason Wallet. Now, Wallet also dropping back about a 0.5 second, but Cancelo now only 2.5 seconds back from Roofs. So it's possible that maybe Wallet and Cancelo not battling each other has now allowed Cancelo to catch up a little bit on Roofs. And of course, Roofs just sort of having a little bit of an issue earlier on, and they're Waring now back into the pits. Presumably he had to make his final stop for the day. So where is our race sponsor at? Well, he's currently racing in the 7th position. He's up 6 spots on the day from where he started back in 13th. Kind of running by himself. He had a little bit of an incident earlier on, but Michael Peters hanging on to the car in 7th. Probably just hoping for a couple more freebies so he can get that top 5. And, you know, that's always in our books, and in there you can see Roofs has definitely climbed back right on the back of Macquarie now. So right back in this fight. But when you're trying to challenge yourself on iRacing and build and grow and give yourself some meaningful milestones, it doesn't matter if 11 cars start, you want to end up in the top 10. That's the first real barometer, the first milestone that you want to hit is top 10. So if you can get into the top 10, usually that means you get points that are good enough to compete in the championship. And it also means that you'll get good, in official racing, you'll get good safety rating increases and license increases and all that good stuff. And so then you start aiming a little bit higher, start aiming for those top 5s, because you know that you can even possibly win a championship by steadily winning, or by steadily getting top 5s, you know? I think Will Power proving that this season, top 5s, he's in the points lead, and he's only gotten mostly top 5s in this whole season in real life. So just proving that case, top 5 is where it's at, and you don't have to win them all in order to be able to win the championship or get a bunch of points in the championship, or potentially, you know, get some of that great I rating to your name. Top 5s generally means, unless you're in a really low split, a top 5 is going to get you up there. And so we see Lynn Kenchelo now coming into the pits, and you saw Tyler Scarali unfortunately having to pit again. And we know that Scarali has already done a couple of extra pit stops here today. So Lynn Kenchelo having to pit. And we look on with 20 laps to go. These drivers would have been given the signal in their cockpits, 20 laps remaining. And so that's another benchmark. So, of course, we could go on beyond the top 5 and talk about podiums and wins. But I think once you're in that top 5 conversation, it's more just about refining your craft and making sure that you don't make those mistakes in the race that cost so many drivers. We've even seen it a little bit in this race, but you see it every race. Drivers just get it a little bit wrong, tap the wall, lose a part, or perhaps try to make a pass and move up the track before or after the car and end up hitting the wall or hitting another car. So just staying out of other people's accidents and keeping it clean, that's where it's at. And you get top 5s, and then from that point, literally just looking at whenever you can score that podium, whenever you can get that win. Certainly, as you get down to it, it's not just about strategies and hanging on and surviving. I mean, at the end of this one, you know, if there's 2 laps to go, you got Aaron Roofs on your tail. And I mean, this one could turn into quite a heated battle. So all that racecraft of being able to actually pass cars really comes in handy here when all the chips are on the line for the win at Indianapolis. And that will be happening here in about another 13 laps. You'll really start to see some jockeying for position and trying to figure out who wants to be the leader on that last lap. So currently your top 3, Macquarie, Roofs, and Wallet. Wallet back here in third, about 3.4 seconds behind Aaron Roofs and Macquarie. So got a ways to catch up if he's going to manage to do so. But you could see it. I mean, he wasn't too far back. Take a look here from well overhead. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But Wallet continuing his search and his desire to hold on to that third spot, because once again, that is that next step above those top 5s, is when you can get on the podium. And of course, in real life and in some series, that comes with some hardware. But more than anything, you get to get up in front of all your peers and receive recognition for a job well done. And, you know, you look out at the crowd, you'll have a bunch of supporters there that you can look at and wave to. And it's very meaningful, very, very meaningful for those supporters. Of course, virtually, of course, a lot of people watching on YouTube, rooting on their favorite drivers. And, you know, as Jesper Orman points out, you just don't know what Indy means. And who can forget that classic Al Unser Jr. speech from Victory Lane? And you really don't know what it means until you can win here. I'd love to win one. I got to cover Jesper Orman, who is one of the great IndyCar certainly oval racers on the service, and very quickly becoming one of the best road course racers and overall racers of Indy cars. But yes, we're taking a couple of victories here on VirtualRacing.Network coverage, and here comes Aaron Roofs in with 15 laps to go. So definitely these drivers trying to cover Jason Wallet as well, making a final pit stop. So this will be their final stops of the day, and that does leave Aaron McQuarrie on track. So these are crucial laps right here, because as you saw, there was just a several second gap between Wallet and Roofs and McQuarrie. Now, will Roofs get out first? He easily gets out first, and it looks like he'll maintain a several second gap over Wallet. So that would have been an opportunity there for Wallet, potentially, if he had some tricks up his sleeve, be able to take a little bit of that gap out of Aaron Roofs. And there you see Ryan Steele back up into the lead, or back up into second. But he stopped on lap 162, so of course there's no way that he'll be able to make it to the very end if the others didn't as well. Aaron McQuarrie, he last stopped on lap 164, so we anxiously await to see whether McQuarrie will be in this lap or next. He should be coming in very, very soon, we do anticipate, but in the meantime, he does continue to lead here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just 12 laps remaining, and still some cards yet to be placed on the table, as all of these drivers are putting in their last pit stops and trying to end up exactly where they need to be at the end of this one to take victory. So McQuarrie continuing here, but his lap times will be starting to fall off. So that's here he comes into the pits very, very late into the pits, slams on the brakes. It does look like he got it stopped just in time. So once again, we will be seeing Ryan Steele here within another lap or two, and then we will have basically our running order for the end of this one. We'll be able to see who's got what and is in what position. So McQuarrie into the pits. Steele now takes over the lead temporarily. Last stopping on lap 162. He should be by in the next 2 laps. If McQuarrie is anything to go off of, he should be by in the next 2 laps here. And then that will give back over the lead to McQuarrie, who's currently just over 3 seconds. There you see Roofs entering the picture there. Just 2 seconds. Now it's starting to come down under 2. 1.7, 1.6 seconds. That draft starting to get picked up by Roofs. Gaining speed ever so much on McQuarrie. Just chipping into that 117, 112. Coming down to 1 second flat. McQuarrie going to be looking at that gap and wanting to close it as quickly as possible so that he's got a chance here at the end. Just 10 remaining for Ryan Steele, although Ryan will be into the pits here probably on this lap. Can show you everybody's pit stops up there on the screen. You just need to look at the right side to see when everybody pitted last. But in fact, it was Steele and McQuarrie who lasted the longest, but McQuarrie has since been in. And so Steele makes that pit stop. Now this is your gap. This is your race right here on the track. Just 9 laps remaining after 191. It's Aaron McQuarrie who leads Aaron Roofs. Team scours ahead of the Wolfpack Esports team. And Roofs now looks to the inside of McQuarrie. Coming through turn 3. Will Roofs look to try to take that position early in this process? Here he comes down to the inside of Macquarie. He's not going to wait this one out. He's going to go for it right now. Roofs down to the inside in turn one. He gets the position, slides up and over Aaron Macquarie. If I'd have to say, given Macquarie a taste of his own medicine, because Macquarie had done that a couple of times to other drivers, there Macquarie now makes his move back to try to get around Roofs. Will he do it into turn three? And he does. So draft swapping still working, and who needs those parts that IndyCar introduced last year that still aren't on the iRacing IndyCar that are supposed to make drafting and passing better? We've got a heck of a battle going. These cars can pass just fine. By the way, race sponsor Michael Peters into the pits as Aaron Roofs moves back into the lead. 7 laps to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're watching the Major Series, race number 6 of 2022. It's the Indy 500 for the America's Pro 2 division. And it's all come down to this. Aaron Roofs, the Savvy Ninja, out there in first place. And Aaron Macquarie right there on his gearbox. Macquarie has had the speed all day, but something tells me Aaron Roofs is feeling it. They run 1-2. Now, again, where do you want to be? Do you want to be... We're going to be getting the high five signal from Barney the Flagman as we go by this time. So where do you want to be with 5 laps to go? Where do you want to be with 2 laps to go? 1 lap to go? I'll tell you what, it looks like Aaron Roofs is trying to run right off the front of this thing. Aaron Roofs currently pulling out 0.8 of a second on Aaron Macquarie. Macquarie now climbing back just a little bit into that. There you can see how the gap has grown from a few laps ago. Roofs catching that draft and really working it to his advantage, and then making that pass just a couple of laps ago, and now already up to close to a 0.9 of a second lead. Is this the race that Roofs has been waiting for? A chance to win here in the America's Pro 2 division for the Major Series. 5 laps to go, says Barney the Flagman. As Roofs sails past that yard of bricks just 5 more times around the speedway. Let's go. 10 miles remaining. Aaron Roofs clicking them off 1 corner at a time. There's Aaron Macquarie. He's drifted back almost a second now. What's happened to that speed that Macquarie has shown all race long? Jason Wallet has dropped back 5 seconds, but he's still hanging on to that 3rd spot. Meanwhile, Lynn Kincheloe, who's been racing so close up there in that top 5 with Jason Wallet all race long, had a moment that brought out a yellow flag, but aside from that, able to really keep things together here. Unfortunately, just over a second back from Jason Wallet, and maybe not able to get up there in time. Ryan Steele had a fantastic race going, had some sort of a problem in the pits, probably speeding, and unfortunately that has cost him a bunch. Now back in 5th, and he won't have a shot at this win unless something were magically to happen. Travis Whirling, at one point, he was up in the lead, and he had a heck of a race going. Unfortunately, things not going his way, having a spin, and then having to deal with that later on. It brought him back into 7th, and he's just never really recovered. So Warling, unfortunately, not going to probably even get a top 5 out of this one. And that's exactly what I mean as far as a driver who qualifies at the front, and you just can't predict. Because look at this guy. Aaron Roofs qualified in 11th place, and here he is looking like he was leading this entire race. Just 2 laps remain. 1 lap here as he goes under this start-finish stripe one more time. The white flag waves by Barney the Flagman, and he's got 9/10 of a second gap back to Aaron McQuarrie. Aaron Roofs piloting his machine off of turn 2 now. He's got to keep his focus. J.R. Hildebrand comes to mind. You definitely wouldn't want to ever see anything like that happen. He's in control here. Roofs takes it through 3, high up towards the wall, down to that apex and up through turn 4 to the apex curb. He'll bring it across the start-finish stripe. Aaron Roofs, your winner here at Indianapolis. Aaron Roofs, the Savvy Ninja, pulls one out here for the Major Series, America's Pro 2 division. Absolutely amazing stuff. And Aaron McQuarrie brings it home in second. Jason Wallet has already pulled it off the track. Very, very long race, full race distance for these drivers, and we certainly appreciate all of you fans who tuned in and checked out this race from the very get-go. It's been an interesting one, certainly, and it may be the Pro 2 division, but we certainly saw some Pro 1 level driving today from several top split level drivers, including Aaron Roofs, Aaron McQuarrie, Jason Wallet, Ryan Steele. Great races from all these drivers. And of course, who can forget our race sponsor, so generous of him to donate the cost. And certainly we would appreciate it if you could go back and slap him some money for fronting the cost on this one. But Michael Peters ends up with an 8th place finish, and congratulations to him. In the meantime, someone's celebrating. It looks like it's Aaron McQuarrie, and we've got Aaron Roofs also sitting here on pit lane. We're going to wait for them to join us here in the broadcast booth, and hopefully we get their attention. I'm going to try to tag them and see if I can get Aaron in here. I don't know if his name is the same in the Discord, but if someone can tag Aaron Roofs, let him know we're in here. And let McQuarrie know as well. We would certainly appreciate it. I'm not sure if they are in here, but either way, we'll get a chance to chat with somebody, I'm sure, here. And in the meantime, we will get the final results up for you. And so momentarily, we'll have it. There you go on your screen. Gotta love it when camera just sort of leaves me in no man's land there. Not exactly sure what happened there, but we're going to take a look back here at some of this action just a little bit further back. And here was Aaron Roofs ahead of Aaron McQuarrie on the white flag. And they pretty much set sail from this point on. There on screen, you can see your final running order. And, of course, it was Aaron Roofs who managed to bring it home first and take victory here at the Indianapolis 500, the 2022 Major Series round number 6. Aaron McQuarrie coming in second. Jason Wallet finishing in third. Lynn Kinchelow finishing in fourth. Ryan Steele fifth. Travis Worling sixth. David Henger in seventh. Michael Peters in eighth. Joey Haynes in ninth. Tyler Scarali in 10th, and 11th goes to Ray Partridge, 12th to Brian McGravy, 13th to Mike Grandy Sr., and 14th to Clint Martin, who unfortunately blinked out, but was having a decent race, kind of running in the mid-pack. So we're going to hope that we can get someone here into the booth at the end. I'm not sure. We are in the broadcast booth number 2. So for any of you who are just tuning in now, make sure, Aaron, if you are part of the Major Series Discord, love to see you over in the broadcast booth. But unfortunately, I cannot seem to tag either one of them. Let me see if I go into another room. Aaron McQuarrie, I don't know why he has 2 connections. but or two different accounts. And we'll see if we can get Aaron Roofs in here. Jason Wallet, of course, you are more than welcome. Anybody else who is racing here, feel free to stop on by. Gonna tag another driver here just to get him in here. Aaron Roofs. So, yep. We're just hanging out in broadcast booth 2 here, hoping to get a chance to chat with the podium finishers here. And we should have a chance here momentarily. Otherwise, we'll get them there. Obviously, Jason not listening to the broadcast because I'm trying to communicate there and let them know to please stop in to broadcast booth 2. And it does say the booth is locked, so I'm going to try to move him manually. And did we get him? No, we didn't get him. So I don't have any ability to move people, unfortunately. And probably going to sit there where that's at, unfortunately. There's nothing I can do about it. Would love it if I could, but we just got this set up just ahead of time. And I don't know that I got all of the right permissions. They say they did give me the right permissions, but unfortunately, I can't seem to move anyone over. So just bear with us for just one more second here as we're trying to do this live and get you guys moved over. Can someone move them into the broadcast booth? Yes, so I've tried to move the drivers over. We've got them sitting in the waiting booth right now. Unfortunately, I can't move them in. I'm going to see if I can get one of the system admins to do so. Oh, here we go. We got everybody moved in. There we go. Well, let's go ahead and start with our race winner. And Aaron Roofs, can you hear me, bud?
I can. You got me?
I got you loud and clear. Aaron, wow, what a heck of a race. I've had the pleasure of racing around you and in some races with you over the last couple of years. And, I noted that you were in the field. You've got a ton of experience, and you were real quiet early on, qualifying all the way back there in like 11th place, just not letting anybody know that you had something waiting for them. Hey, Aaron, tell us about your day. Tell us how this Indy 500 unfolded for you, and congratulations on winning here, round number 6 of the Major Series Pro 2 Americas.
Thanks. It was a little struggle, with the traffic and the aero push. That's always a challenge starting that far back. But I'm like, it's a long race. Got to take my time, figuring out what the car wants to do when it's around people, and I guess just took the opportunities when they presented themselves.
And you did, and that was interesting to watch. And you kept your nose clean. That was crucial. Throughout the whole day, we saw a number of drivers, including Travis Warling, who was running very, very well. He had a little bit of a spin. That cost him dearly. We saw a couple of drivers get into each other early on with McGreevy and another driver, Joey Haynes, who got into each other. They qualified near the front. They were running great. So surviving today a key, but also, Aaron, you weren't afraid to go up there and mix it up. Tell us about those final laps with Aaron McQuarrie and when you decided you wanted to make your move and how you decided you wanted to make your move.
Well, I was kind of just waiting. I mean, there's a couple times I could have passed him earlier, but I was just like, it was just too early, and I knew we still had to pit and stuff, and so I was kind of waiting, till around that time, because he had a pretty good car too, so he could, he passed me I think early on the high lane, whatever, and so I noted that for later, but I don't know, I just it just says go, and so I just went. That's kind of how it goes to me, I guess.
It just clicks on in your head. It's like, okay, it's go time. Well, certainly when you're under 10 laps, You got to know when to push that car and go forward. Otherwise, you're not going to get that victory. I'm sure you've won many times at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in official racing before, but it's got to feel pretty sweet to take victory here on broadcast in front of a lot of viewers and in the major series, which is such a great series. You know the caliber of somebody like Jason Wallet, Aaron McQuarrie. These are great drivers that are out there racing all the time and, racing for really great teams as well. And so for you to pull it off, Aaron, it certainly says something about your capabilities.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's a big... It feels good. It's a big notch in the cap there, and Aaron raced me fair, and others around me as well. So I think it was a good show for everyone, and I was glad to come out on top.
Absolutely, it was a great show, and you made it a great show there at the end. I was so glad we did not get a caution those final laps, so we could really see how this one worked out. And so much great green flag racing. Congratulations on your race win here. And so we can answer the question for everybody. What's your flavor of milk? Percentage? Are you drinking whole milk, 2%, chocolate? What's your thing?
Skim milk, actually.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, got to keep the calories down or whatever,
Got to keep the calories down, stay in fit fighting shape. And keep your head up looking at the rest of this major series championship. Once again, congratulations here, and good luck with the rest of the season and the rest of your racing around iRacing, Aaron.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the broadcast.
And anybody else that you want to thank here before we let you go? Any teammates or anybody else?
No, I'm kind of one-man show, but I think, all the other drivers, it was good, clean racing. So that's a really good thing. Is
they at Savvy Ninja? You want to plug that and Wolfpack Esports?
Well, unfortunately, Wolfpack is not around anymore, but my at Savvy, at the Savvy Ninja Twitter, I post a lot there. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have something as far as business-wise and esports and stuff like that by the end of the year. So hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more from me, so.
Absolutely. Well, fill in the gap here, and anybody who has some business concerns, send them Aaron's way. He's getting the screen time. He's going up there winning some big races. So Aaron, good luck with those sponsors in the future, bud.
Thank you, man.
So that's Aaron Roos joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network. And what a pleasure to call that race. And he just beat out Aaron McQuarrie. And so let's go ahead and get a chance to chat with him. Hey, Aaron, can you hear me? Aaron McQuarrie, can you hear me there? This is Trevor in the booth. You might need to turn on push to talk. That you might have to enable or use your push to talk button. That's something that sometimes...
There we go. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah, I can hear you, bud. How you doing?
What a race. First of all, congrats to Aaron. I knew he was going to be quick. I was watching him coming up behind me the whole time. I was snaking down the back straight, snaking down the front straight, just trying to keep him at bay, because I knew once he got past me, I would find it struggle to kind of get past him again. But I'm knackered.
I can imagine.
That was a big race. Yeah, and that's my second 500 of the day as well. Ran the fixed 500 earlier, so.
Oh my goodness, that's like the old days when the guys would try to do the double. That is a lot. Do you have what kind of steering wheel do you have?
The Fanatec, Club Sport.
The Club Sport from Fanatec. So a lot of force feedback there as well. Not an easy. An easy wheel. My goodness.
Force
well, you got
it on the max and in VR as well. So you're getting the full realism out of it. But if you could see me right now, I'm sweaty. I'm tired. I'm over in the UK, so it's 4:15 in the morning. So yeah.
My goodness. What an amazing thing, and we appreciate you, of course, coming out here and racing on broadcast here at VirtualRacing.Network. And what a great race it was for you. And, of course, you're racing in the middle of the night compared to a lot of these other drivers that it's their afternoon or their evening. But talk us through your race today, because you were kind of quiet further back. You started back in 8th place, and then you started creeping forward, and you got off strategy. That was a key. So you can tell us a little bit about how that worked out today. But then eventually you ended up there in the lead, and it was pretty much a 2 or 3 car battle with you and a couple of other drivers, ultimately you and Aaron. So yeah, definitely take us through how your Indy 500 unfolded.
Well, where to start? First of all, going off strategy was not intentional. What actually happened, same as what I did earlier in the fixed 500, my strategy was really just to keep it clean, stay at the back, don't lose the draft, and play the first half of the race really safe. Second half of the race is about moving forward, and then obviously from the final sort of pit stop onwards was fighting for a win. That was the plan anyway. But I think around about lap 15, 16 or something like that, I went for one of my favourite overtakes, which was around the outside of turn 1. And a bit of netcode, I think. I've watched it in the replay and we didn't actually make contact, but a bit of netcode pushed me into the wall. So I actually wrecked on lap 16, I think. Had to pit. Car was knackered. Someone ran into the back of me as well. So we used the fast repair. We made good use of it. Got back out, I think running 4th or 5th on track, but obviously 1 lap down. And then it was really a case of trying to figure out how to get that lap back. So we overtook a few cars, got into 2nd place effectively on track. And then I think later on in the race, I have no idea what lap it was, probably in around about 80 or so. We got a lucky caution where we were able to, we had enough fuel on board, we were able to go round. Who was it in the lead at the time? Might have been Aaron, or maybe Travis Whirling in the 90 car. So I was able to get around there, get my lap back, get on the back of the pack, and then just move my way forward. So it was a hard race. A lot of risky overtakes around the edge. I did make a contact again with someone who I can't even remember who it was. I think they came down on me a wee bit. Maybe I went up a wee bit on them in turn 3. So that was unfortunate, and I thought at that point my race was over. But car felt fine afterwards, and I was able to continue on. And then strategy allowed me to get to the lead. I'm not sure what happened to Ryan Steele. He would have been in front of me, pulled into the pits. I pitted a few laps later, and he was nowhere to be seen. So I'll need to watch back the replay later or watch a broadcast.
The presumption there was that he had a speeding penalty in the pits. That's the only thing I could figure out, because he came into the pits normally and then he was held there in the pits. So I don't think he took damage repair or anything. Just had to serve an extra penalty.
That's unfortunate for him, because I think he was in for a chance of the win as well. So the three of us were. Yeah, it was a great race. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to come back again.
Well, and still, we did see Travis Whirling out there leading a bunch of laps, and Ryan Steele, of course, led a whole bunch of laps, and he was weaving out front and definitely trying to keep everybody at bay behind. There was times when both of those drivers looked practically unbeatable at the front of this race, but it's a matter of inches sometimes with these Indy cars. Like, we just saw that incident that you talked about on lap 16 with Mike Brandy Sr. Around turn 1. And that's just a matter of inches getting you up into the wall and affecting your race. And as far as some of the other drivers, like entering the pits, you could just be a couple of miles an hour off, and that could be absolutely the end of your race contention. And you didn't do that today, Aaron. You stayed out there in the front, but there was one guy who you tried to keep behind you, and you just couldn't manage to do it. Did you have anything for Aaron there at the end? It kind of looked like you didn't quite have the pace to be able to stay with him on the final laps.
I've raced with Aaron a good few times before, and I know he's a clean racer, so I like to respect that. So there were times where I kind of thought I could pull down in front, take the air off him, keep him behind me. But to be honest, it got a good run, and I just felt that it was the wrong thing to do. We'll give him space and hopefully fight back. Unfortunately, I never managed to fight back, so he deserves the win. Congrats to him, and congrats to Jason as well in third. As I say, it was a great race. All went pretty well in the end. I know it was a wee bit sketchy at times, just with how some of the, I think it was 2 net codes. One of my teammates, Clint Martin, He was running beside me, and I actually went around the outside of him again. I have no idea what lap it was. Round the outside of him again on turn 1, and we were on comms. So like I sort of told him, what it was doing. But Netcode actually pushed his car, big massive smash. I got a 0x. His car disintegrated and then appeared again a few seconds later beside me. But I thought it was done for 2 or 3 times during that race. So to finish second, I'm over the moon.
And you did. You took it. Congratulations, Aaron. And of course, a good moment also to be up there on the podium for your team Scours. And David Graybell talking to me a little bit earlier on. He was excited to have a few cars in the races today. So just bringing more prestige back to that team that continues to climb in the ranks of iRacing, IndyCar, Cross. And you're doing some great things as well, Aaron. So congratulations to you, and good luck with the rest of the season here in Majors. Any more people to thank before we move on to our final finisher?
Well, first of all, you mentioned there David Graybell, so he put together the team, and we've been working quite well together, pulling ourselves forward in races like this. So that's the only shout out we're going to do tonight. But I need to head and get to bed. It's now approaching 4:30, but brilliant.
Well, we appreciate you joining us and making this race. Get on off to bed and get some well-deserved rest. Congratulations, Aaron, on your second.
Cheers, Trevor. See you next time.
So that was Aaron McQuarrie joining us. And of course, while we're on that note, thank you to those of you who have joined us over in the YouTube chat. Jesper Orman, of course, joining us from Stockholm, Sweden. So in similar territory to Aaron, and getting up enough to watch the race a little bit and probably go back to sleep for the Swedish driver over there watching. Jason Wallot, though. Jason, hey, buddy. Congratulations on an awesome third place. It looked like you really had your hands full with Lynn there. I mean, talk us through the whole race. It seemed like you had a good top 5 machine, but it seemed like a lot of work to get it into third and keep it there.
Actually, I did get the fastest lap of the race, and for how my race went, for the first green flag run from lap 0 to 50, my strategy was pretty much like stay behind the guy ahead of me to keep up my fuel mileage, and then try to play a long game with pitting so I could hopefully count a fuel stop or some time on pit road. Then the caution came, which screwed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the 8-lap run that followed, my strategy was pretty much the same. And then there was the final run from lap 130 to the end. They were around near there. For that, actually, I can't what happened to Ryan. He got on pit road, he got into contact with a lap car, and that messed him up. It happened right in front of me. And anyways, for that last run, my strategy was pretty much similar. Try to make sure I could actually pit there. Try to make sure I could get to the end on fuel. And during the run before my last pit stop, I was in a tandem group with Lynn, and the two Aarons were ahead of us, and we both noticed they were losing ground as they fought. So our strategy was supposed to stay out as much as possible. My strategy was, I'm not sure what Lynn was doing, but my plan was to stay out as much as possible to see if we could maybe gain some ground on him. And then Lynn had his contact, which forced him into the pits, so I stayed out to try and catch them. Then I think Aaron Roofs came down, and I tried to follow him and took only 7 gallons of fuel, and then we both got out, and then everyone else cycled through, and I ended up in third 5 or so seconds back, and then that was that. I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect a 14 car race to be that interesting.
There was so much strategy. I was trying to, multiple times through the race, I kept saying the same thing. You don't need 33 apparently to make a great race here. It just takes a few, and it was really watching the top 10 kind of battle it out, especially that top 5 battle. The whole race long was like watching a top split battle. It was extremely interesting and very well crafted. A lot of good battles up front, but you really did have your hands full there, and it was fortunate some of the other drivers, having incidents and falling back, but nevertheless, you kept it clean. You did do a solid effort today, and you do walk away with the final podium position. Did you feel like you had something like did you feel like at any point you had a race winning car? Did you feel like you could have been up there in second and first and challenging Macquarie and Roofs?
Absolutely. Honestly, I wish I had started in first here on that final restart. I started in second, which kind of got me separated away from the top 5 and never got the chance to make up that gap.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things here too where momentum is part of it, and certainly if you're involved in battles, and certainly if you're like in mid-pack 4th, 5th, 6th, and you got battles going on and it takes you off of those leaders, once you lose that like 3-4 seconds off the leaders, it's practically impossible to be able to chase that down unless you've got a partner. So you did an awesome job to hang on though and get 3rd spot, and there were a lot of drivers that wanted that 3rd and final podium spot, but after 200 laps you hung on. Jason, anybody you have to thank here, and part of your team or part of the Majors series?
Yeah. Brian, Travis, Lynn, thanks for racing with me for UDOX. I know y'all didn't. I know we're on bump and gunning to be in Pro 1, but this was pretty nice. Also, I'd like to thank the team sponsors, Pure LGM 2DI for limb girdle muscular dystrophy, Evobox, Insert Coin, and Simability. And my mom and dad for buying me my sim racing gear.
Of course. Got to get in the mom and dad plug. I mean, if it's not for them and their support, you know, you don't get to get out here on Sunday night and give us all a show. And what quite a good show you gave us, Jason. And you get to go on and race here in the Major Series and continue with the rest of the season. So congratulations on your 3rd place here today. Big race. Could have been more, but you get to go on here in Majors and have fun with the group going forward. So congratulations and good luck with the rest of your season, man.
Thanks, you too, and congrats to you, Aaron, if I hadn't said it already.
Absolutely. To the 2 Aarons, what an amazing race. That was 3rd place, Jason Wallet, joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network, fresh out of the cockpit, and you heard it from Aaron Macquarie. He was sweating. He did 2 500s today. I think a lot of these drivers are going to have to really get it together for this next week, because this is the Open 500 week coming up. There's still more 500s to do. And but nevertheless, this one's done here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was the Majors Series race number 6, presented here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 200 laps. It was a fantastic race. And we saw Aaron Roofs come away with the victory. 2nd place to Aaron Macquarie. Congratulations to them, as well as Jason Wallet, your top finishers. And once again, thank you so much to Michael Peters, who supplied the broadcast fund for today's race. If you enjoyed it, once again, hit that PayPal link down in the description and make sure to tell him that you did enjoy the coverage broadcasting here in 4K. So make sure to subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network. We'll have many more races upcoming. We cover the U.S. IndyCar League each and every Sunday, which, by the way, next Sunday, we'll be having the Indy 250 for the Care Camps organization. So if you love Indy, come back next Sunday and we'll have another race here at VirtualRacing.Network, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. On behalf of all the competitors here and the race sponsor, Michael Peters, as well as the Major Series, this has been Trevor Greenfield, and you've been watching VirtualRacing.Network. Until next time, have a great rest of your week, everybody, and so long. Get some great sleep. Bye-bye.